now.
Yeah.
Everything's working. Fingers crossed,
Yep.
because both
Well, we'll see who joins us. I
yep,
know that we're kind of catching folks.
in
Um,
the middle of the day.
yeah, in the middle of the day. But there are some other folks out there, professional folks, who also stream during the middle of the day. We're not trying to subvert their folks. But since we're in the lead off into a holiday, I figured that might be worth to switch it up a little bit, Richard.
Oh yeah,
You
and
know,
that's why I'm referring to, instead of this being listed as a fireside chat, it's being listed as a let's talk.
hmm
And as I am hoping that we can uh, talk about stuff that we don't normally talk about. We're
yeah,
Today we're gonna have what could some people might consider controversial subjects.
yeah.
We're
Well,
gonna touch on immigration and job numbers and some stuff like
yeah,
that.
I
Marcello and I have been talking about offline.
yeah, I like to think of it, Richard, as a frank and candid conversation that other people talk about at a ephemeral level. I mean, you got pundits all over the place talking about this stuff, but they're talking about it at an ephemeral level. I'm talking about looking at it from the everyday person,
Yep, we're
the
not.
everyday mom, the everyday dad, the everyday single person.
We are not. Let's see. What's a good phrase for it? We're not talking head political commentators. We are just everyday regular guys. Uh,
Mhm.
though I will admit, I am a disabled vet. I'm somebody who's been there, done that. I still love this country.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I will
Mhm.
more than likely love until the day I die.
Mhm.
Because if I bleed for something, I'm there to the end of the line for it.
Yeah.
And like the immigration stuff, I'm a big believer that our immigration policy is in dire need of a massive overhaul. But I have been saying that since 2006, 2007,
Mm.
when went through all the stuff trying to get my then wife and my stepson here legally.
Mm.
And the BS that we went through that was so ridiculous. Right before we went live, I was telling Marcello about this, that we had went to immigration offices here 8 separate times and was told 8 different ways of filling out the paperwork. And each time we did it, we were told we filled it out wrong. Even though several of those times it was the same person from the last time who told us how to fill out the paperwork. Says, "Oh no, you filled this paperwork out wrong. But this is how you told us to fill it out the last time we were
Mhm.
here." Oh no, I've never seen you in my life. And my mom, who drove us up there all 8 times, was like getting to a point to where she was so upset it wasn't even funny. And we were trying to do everything legally. Well, all the illegal people were getting away with all kinds of stuff. I mean, they were getting housing, they were getting food stamps, all this, and they were here illegally. But because we were trying to do it legally, we were getting hosed. And it was really ridiculous. And we thought, hey, Emma and Jack were from the UK. It should be easy. They already speak the language. Their culture is pretty close to ours. And it seemed like that made it even harder. And when we ended up homeless, trying to get help from the state, it was impossible. All they could do was give us boxes of food and diapers and food stamps, and that was it. Uh, there was a 5-year waiting list to get into the government housing here
Mhm.
in Monroe, and the messed up thing was there was a third of the Monroe housing was empty at the time because the people who had been living in those apartments had violated their contracts because they were selling drugs and prostitution out of the government housing. And they were all in jail. But the people
Mm.
back in Raleigh refused to allow for that housing to be opened up to the people on the waiting list. And like I said, it was insane. The
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
services people were literally in tears because they couldn't help us, and it was so frustrating. And I mean, the whole system needs to be fixed. And anytime we talk about this, we get called racist and bigots, and it frustrates me. Now, Marcelo, you're a first generation American. If I remember right, both of your parents came from Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
so this is one of those things I'd love for you and your dad to come on and let's talk about what Cuba was like before Castro came to power.
well,
Because Cuba, most people don't know this. Cuba before Castro, yeah, it had its problems, but it was also uh, the main place that Americans went for entertainment, uh, recreation, vacations. I mean, the nightlife in Cuba was, oh my God,
you
amazing. You
you,
had,
you, you want to know the funny part, Richard?
what's that?
Except for a small sliver of time in the 1960s,
Hmm.
you could still say the same for most of Hollywood and a certain class of people in that country.
What
You
are we
could
talking
still
about?
Oh, we're going to talk about all kinds of really cool stuff today.
hey, Smolin. Yeah. So
We're going to
just
talk about immigration. We're going to
if,
talk about
if,
job numbers. This is just us talking
Oh,
about,
so a bunch
if
of
you don't,
boring shit.
yeah,
okay,
pretty
if you
much,
don't mind, just sit back of the bus, buddy.
and
I
enjoy.
mean,
It's
I'm not
going
your
to be
dad.
fun.
I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you a strong admonition. If you're not sure, it's better you sit in the back of the bus. Don't worry, it's going to get bumpy from here.
Yeah,
Oh, I never pay attention to conversations you guys have anyway, so don't worry.
That younger generation, Richard, what can I tell you? So,
yeah.
It's
as
not
I
just
was,
my generation, it's just you guys being boring as fuck.
I love it. I love it.
But
So
yeah, Cuba, I mean,
it
I
was
fell in love with the
look,
Cuba
it was
that
open,
was new.
Richard. If you had money, if you had money, you could travel there.
Mhm.
Do you really think that Hollywood folks didn't travel to Cuba in the 1960s? Of course they did. Did they
Yeah,
travel there in the 1970s? Of course they did.
yeah, they went
They
through
were
Mexico or through
the
Canada.
Bahamas or through Jamaica or through the
Hmm.
Dominican Republic. Pick a Latin American country. You could travel through there and get into Cuba. Did you need a visa? Not if you were a celebrity.
Yeah, because I
If-
know
if-
what's his name.
If you're a celebrity, the only place you'd be visiting anyway would be Epstein's Island.
no, no, not really. Not really.
I'm
Not
not
really.
saying if you specifically was a celebrity, I was
I
like saying
understand.
that like, all celebrities.
Yeah,
That's the only place they would be going.
No,
okay.
actually,
You,
Cuba. Believe it or not, Cuba still had some of the resorts still
hmm,
operating. I do
they
know that they had one of the resorts that if you had HIV or AIDS, they snatched your butt up and stuffed you there to keep you out of general population. Because because I heard about that in '90.
Talk about feelings and success.
My first, my first, my first time in college, 95, 96, something like that, because one of my professors had been he had worked at the State Department as a negotiator, and he was teaching our sociology classes. And he was, unfortunately, he passed away in, I think, 98, 99 from, I can't remember which type of cancer it was, but it was really a nasty cancer that just, as soon as they told him what it was, he knew he was a goner. But he wanted to keep teaching until he couldn't teach no more, and we had to watch him go from being a pretty decent guy, sized guy, to itty bitty guy. And it was so sad because he had talked about the fact that one of the reasons why he wanted to keep teaching until he died was the fact that he didn't have a family. He had dedicated his entire life to service. And he felt that by teaching, he was passing on his knowledge. And it was just the way he went. And he was a good guy. Sorry for the tangent. But he told us all kinds of really interesting stuff.
See,
Because he had gotten assigned to, for a while, he was assigned out of one of the consulates there in the Bahamas, or the Caribbean, I should say. But he had spent most of his time in Eastern Europe and then South America and the Caribbean. And he said the one place that he did not go to work was in Asia. And he greatly, I wouldn't say resented, but I would say that he regretted not getting to spend time in Asia, working in Asia. But he was a pretty cool guy. I mean, and he was my granddad's age, because he talked about, he started working at the State Department during World War II. So he had that. He had worked throughout the entire Cold War at the State Department, and he was teaching us our sociology classes, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when it came to Cuba, he told us about what Cuba was like before Castro, and
so
he actually brought in music. Oh God, the music he would bring in.
So here's the thing, that small, relatively small, because it's smaller than the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Although for a while it had a greater population than the state of Florida, but that island has a relatively intertwined history with the United States since the late 1800s, early 1900s. If it weren't for the United States, the country itself would possibly still be a territory of Spain to this
The
day.
Spanish-American War.
Correct. I mean, there have been conversations about what really brought it on, the sinking of the Maine and that kind of stuff. Was it sabotage? Was it self-sabotage? And so on and so forth. But the fact is that the United States and Cuba have had a somewhat intertwined history during the 20th century.
Yep.
Okay. Let's start there.
Hold on for a second. Zach.
Yeah.
If you've not heard of the USS Maine, it was an American battleship that was in the port of Havana, and it was just it blew up, and which started the whole meme of "Don't touch my boats." The United States telling people, "Don't touch my boats." The Maine was one of the things that started it. Now,
I've never heard of that meme a day in my life.
Oh, it's a funny meme.
Doesn't sound like one.
Because if you'll take a look at what we did to Japan after Pearl Harbor, yeah. But no, what happened with the Maine?
That was years after Pearl Harbor.
That really got me was the fact that the Cuban people built a monument to the USS Maine.
Mhm.
And after Castro came to power, he ordered it to be
Torn
destroyed.
down.
And the Cuban people themselves said, "Oh hell no!" And they went in, took it apart, and hid the pieces.
Yep.
And because they weren't going to allow Castro to destroy a monument they built
Right.
to honor the crew of the USS Maine
Right.
who died liberating them. And
Right. So to kind of go through that history, Richard, the idea was that when that ship sank
Mhm.
in the harbor of Havana, okay, it was originally blamed upon Spain because at that time Cuba was a property. I'll call it
Just
that.
like the Philippines.
A property of Spain, and they blamed it on Spain.
Mhm.
All right. The fact is, at that time, there was already a growing sentiment, just like the years leading up to the Revolutionary War, of Cuban natives, families who'd grown up in the country, of, we really, really want our own determination. That would be nice. Just like the folks did in South America with Simon Bolivar. We really would like to determine our own future. Okay. And so they went along with it, right? Subsequent investigations or examinations have demonstrated that what the journalists in the United States had claimed was a Spanish mine was likely caused by a internal explosion on the ship itself. Okay. Probably, just a failure, an internal equipment failure on the ship itself. That's okay. It turned into a catalyst for the Spanish American War. The thing is that the Cubans called that the War of, believe it or not, the Cuban War of Independence. Sound familiar? Yeah. It's because they took it the same way. They took it the same way.
Didn't Cuba want to become a state at one point?
Yes. Immediately following the ending of the armistice between Spain and the United States and Cuba, there were people inside of the Cuban military that made overtures to the United States to, hey, what if we became part of the United States? I mean, we're
And
only 9 miles off.
sadly, two things kept that from happening.
Yeah.
The biggest was Catholics.
Yes.
And the second was you speak Spanish. That was the two things that kept that from happening. Was
correct.
Because at that point in time, there was still a great fear of Catholics owing their allegiance to the Pope.
Correct, because at that point, the quote unquote the Cuban island was about 99 point something percent Catholic. Okay, unlike Maryland, it was seen as a questionable decision.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a very small population of Quakers, a very small population of Protestants, including Methodists, Seventh-day Adventists, and Presbyterians on the island, but that percentage was very, very small. There was also a small population of Jews that had emigrated from Spain to Cuba. Okay. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Congress didn't further entertain the possibility of Cuba even becoming a territory because of the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a lot of, well, I'll call it this way. There was significant pushback from Mexico significant pushback from countries, even Brazil.
Yeah,
Was-
Brazil
was on the
actually.
line.
A lot of people don't know this about Brazil. There were a lot of former Confederates who didn't want to give up their slaves, who moved to Brazil,
Mhm.
but via Mexico. They actually made a John Wayne movie about that.
Yeah.
That had Rock Hudson in it. Had a
Yeah.
whole bunch of Confederates that did not want to give it up. Went to Mexico, got turned into hostages, and then they moved. Then they went their way down to Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, and the movie was based on actual events that had happened in
Right.
real life, and most people don't know that.
Yep.
And in fact, Brazil had, I think they didn't outlaw slavery until the turn of the century,
Thereabouts.
and
Thereabouts.
because
Yep.
and they were still an empire up until that point.
Correct.
Heck, a lot of people, even today, have a hard time understanding the fact that right now there are more slaves in this world at this moment than has ever been in the entire history of the world.
And that
And
is
the majority of those slaves, unfortunately, are slaves of a sexual nature, and a good number of them are all really, really young.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's not what this conversation is about. Maybe
No,
for
no,
another
I
day.
know. I know. I'm sorry. We just had
No,
it.
that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I just want to keep us on point. Okay, because the situation here is that because of these things, there has been a history of immigration tension
Yes.
between the United States and that country, and by proxy, other countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that, okay, the whole issue with the slave trade that's still going on today is also tied into what we're going through with the immigration problems, with the illegal immigration issues. Uh, a lot of the human traffickers that are doing this stuff, that are operated by the cartels, I have talked to so many Border Patrol agents that talk about the people that are coming across the border wearing these little colored arm bracelets,
Mhm.
indicating that, and they said it's super sophisticated. Don't get me started about the grape trees and how freaked out they get whenever they find underoos on these things, and it drives them nuts. And
Richard, we gotta keep that for another day.
yeah, that's and that
We gotta
will
keep that for
definitely
another
be
day.
a Rumble exclusive because it's that bad.
Let's stay on point. Let's stay on point.
And now with the stuff that's been going on with the immigration from Cuba, the wet foot, dry foot came about, and why that came about of the people trying to escape. I mean, how many people do you know that has turned a car into a boat?
It was a concession.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we had other mass exoduses, 1979, 1980, a quote unquote boat lift of over 100,000 people in mass coming over, most of them being criminals.
Yeah, where he
being
basically
let out,
emptied all the
being let out.
He emptied his prisons and he emptied his insane asylums.
Yeah.
And threw them
being
at the
let
United
out.
States.
But let's come to today. Okay? Let's come to today. The fact is that the vast majority of what's happened today is that the United States has absorbed a non-insignificant number of people who, for whatever reason, are seeking existence. I'll say it this way: existence in the United States. Okay, and why do I choose that word, Richard? And I choose that word very judiciously, especially as the child of an immigrant, because people would say, turn around and say, "Oh, well, you're a turncoat. You're going against people trying to come for a better life." And I'll say,
the difference is, Marcello, is the fact that you integrated into the American society.
Correct.
Here,
and I'm going there.
A completely insular. You did not come here and bring what culture you fled here and perpetrating it, like we're seeing in
Well,
Dearborn.
that's the whole point. My parents did not come here with the intent or purpose or thought of substituting that culture for this culture. They came with the thought of, I am going to add to what is here to also express what we have with what is already here, respecting what is already here. That's the difference.
Because there's places in Dearborn, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Okay, I know in Dearborn, there's areas of Dearborn. They don't speak English at all.
Than that. It's even more widespread than that. It's even more widespread than that.
Because Wisconsin's where Walls is from. That's got it's the highest concentration of Salamis living in it.
See, here's the thing. Okay, that there's multiple slices to this pie. Okay, I'm not going to jump to the biggest slice right away. That's one of the bigger slices.
Yeah.
The fact is that somebody who came here as an immigrant 60 years ago, almost 70 years ago, didn't come for the same reasons that they're coming here today. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And the reason I'm not going to apologize for that is because I've seen the difference.
Yeah. A lot of these people that are coming here today are coming for a free ride.
Correct. My parents came here to become Americans, thankful for becoming Americans. And folks are going to disagree, and that's okay. They're welcome to disagree. Many folks come today for, I'm not going to use the words free ride, for what can they get from the system that currently exists.
Well, okay. I'm going to go with
it is what it is.
The Indians that have come here.
I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to say this. It's a blanket statement, Richard. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where they're coming from.
That's got to me is the fact that they're called remittances, where the people send their money back.
Well, but that's the point.
At one point, the biggest amounts of money was going to. I can't remember. It wasn't Mexico. It was. It was in South America, but I can't remember which country it was. But right now, the largest amount of remittances where people are sending their money there is now in India. And there was another study that was showing that the biggest scams is no longer being done by the Nigerian princes, but are now going back into Wisconsin where the Salamis are doing it. Yeah. And it's hilarious.
Okay. I want us to focus for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. There are so many ways that this conversation could go. Okay. So many ways that this conversation could go. So many slices to this pie.
Oh, yeah.
The central point is that we, for centuries, have taken people from wherever they came.
Mm-hmm.
There were immigrants from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
There were immigrants from China. There were immigrants from Vietnam. There were immigrants from Mexico. There were immigrants from Latin America. There were immigrants from Europe. There were immigrants from Africa and the Middle East that still recognized they were coming to somewhere different than where they were, but adding to it, not with the expressed purpose of replacing and or subverting. I want to key in on that, and
Exactly.
I'm not going to deviate, and I'm not going to deviate from that. Replacing and or subverting what we have today.
Yeah.
Is,
And we're seeing that not just here in the States, we're seeing it in Canada, we're seeing it in Europe.
But with all due respect to any Canadian listening to this, I don't care. That's your problem.
No, I'm looking
That's your problem. You have a prime minister. You need to deal with that.
Well, I'm looking at what's happened in Canada. I'm looking at what's happened in the UK, and Europe with this, because they're further down the road than we are.
Oh, of course, they're already further gone than we are.
I'm pointing to them as this is what we don't want to happen here.
Yes, and that's why I don't want to bring them up, Richard. That's why I don't want to bring them up. I don't want to bring up Canada. I don't want to bring up the UK. I don't want to bring up Germany. I don't want to bring up any other country, with all due respect to anybody else who's listening into this, and I don't see anybody else commenting, but with all due respect, if you're from elsewhere, you guys need to have this conversation. Yep. Where you are, okay? Because as much as folks from outside the United States comment about the United States, okay, we need to have this conversation about us.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I want to keep this conversation about us.
Hold on for a minute. That's why I'm pointing to what they have done wrong. I'm not saying I am saying they need to fix it, but I'm saying they're trying to have us do the exact same thing these countries have done, and it has failed them massively. And I don't want that. And I'm using those examples to try to come up with answers that are uniquely American that we can use to fix the problem. And to me, the biggest fix is this little word called integration. We need to stop coddling immigrants, because by coddling them and making it easier for them to come here, not learn the language, not integrate into our culture, we're allowing this to continue.
So here's the thing, okay? I'm going to borrow. I hate to say it. I'm going to borrow from a Canadian. There is a Canadian commentator, influencer, psychologist. His name is Gad Saad.
Yes.
And he uses a phrase called toxic empathy.
Yes.
And frankly, that is a I'm not going to say perfect, because our language, our expressions are never perfect. But if we were going to approximate, yeah, that's pretty perfect. Toxic empathy is what we are suffering from right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are permissively permitting things that are in our own non-self-interest, even if we do not realize that. For whatever reason, people feel guilt for past sins, past transgressions, past slights, past mistakes. Guess what? That's part of being human. But the fact is that should not give you license to permit things that you know are non-subjectively, objectively not going to benefit anyone other than the person who is putting that thing forward. I'm going to say that again. Permitting something that you know is not going to benefit other than the person putting that forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I look at the things that I want to see with our immigration policy. The first one is to go back to, you've got to take the test in English. You've got to show that you can you understand and can speak English.
Well, the funny part is that when I was a kid, I learned Spanish and English simultaneously. That's how our generation was told that we should proceed. That we're in the United States. This is what it is to be an American.
Yep.
And that regardless of our background, even if we carried our heritage with us, this is the future. I'm sorry, but this is not what's being taught to our younger generation.
Yeah, it's what frustrates me about it.
They're not. They're taught to be ashamed of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Wisconsin right now, the whatever educational department's there is actually putting back to parents, telling them that they should embrace the fact that they should recognize. I'm almost like remiss to say this, but that they should accept the fact that someone who has never been racist to somebody else is inherently racist.
Yeah, it's
just because of who you are.
Yeah, just because of the color of your skin, you're automatically a racist.
And not even the color of your skin, Richard. Where you came from. It doesn't matter. Because they're telling people if you're Hispanic, you're racist.
What?
Yeah.
That's.
I mean, if somebody wants to show otherwise, if you are none of a certain set of people, then you have inherently things that pit you against your fellow human, and that you should carry some burden on you that says that you have put upon somebody else, even if you've never met this person. And I'm sorry, but there's a song from the 1980s that I think it's from Depeche Mode. It's like I don't know how I'm putting upon you because I've never even met you.
Yeah.
So
see, that's the thing that gets me about this collective guilt bullshit that pisses me off, because I'm a Christian. There's no such thing as collective guilt, and there's no such thing as collective salvation. Guilt and salvation both is a one-on-one thing between you and God. Okay? It drives me nuts. It's one of the reasons why I came up with the concept of the only difference between a pile of shit, a bag of shit, and a box of shit is the container holding the shit. Hatred and racism is the same thing. It doesn't care if the container holding it is white, pink, brown, black, yellow, green, or blue. It doesn't care. Racism is a poison, and it can come in any container.
Look, you could go to parts of India and find racism for other ethnic groups within the boundaries of the country of India. You could
It's
find
the
the
same way
same
with
thing.
Africa. It's
You
the
you
same
you
way
could
with
find
Africa.
you
Because
could find the
Africa,
same thing. You
it's
could
the
find
same
the
way.
same thing everywhere. You could find the same thing everywhere. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
The difference here is that the narrative that has been created in the West is that if you are not of this particular strata, you are doing something to hold back this other strata.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the thing is this, who are the folks doing this? By and
Usually the
large,
people who
no,
usually it's the people who are
it's
benefiting from dividing others.
two, but that's the whole thing. I'm going to break it down, Richard. It's by and large two groups, and it doesn't matter whether they're rich or not. It's politicians
Mm-hmm.
and the media.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The politicians, by and large, want to curry favor. How do they curry favor? By demonstrating how they are for you and against the people who are against you, and telling you who the people that are against you are. How does the media fill into this? They are the vehicle to tell you who is against you and who is for you.
That's
That's
why I
it.
say read the book. Read the book Bernays on propaganda.
It's no more complicated than that. If you try to complicate it more than that, you're thinking, well, you can think however you want. I'm not going to tell you how to think, but it's as simple as that.
Well, it's
Politicians, and the
like I
media.
said, the people who are doing this are those that benefit from keeping us divided at each other's throats.
Okay,
It's not just politicians and the media, because the media is their tool.
Okay,
that they use to do the dividing.
Simple question: is the media non for profit? And I don't care.
That's a double-bladed one, because
I don't care.
At one time they were about profit, but not anymore.
Okay.
Look at all these big name movies that have flopped so horribly, that have lost massive amounts of money, but yet you still
that's
have,
a whole other conversation.
It falls into that same deal. It's why I consider the mainstream media and the news a tool of the people who are benefiting by keeping us divided and at each other's throats. Yeah. And by keeping us divided, it's that whole divide and conquer mentality that has perpetrated the system that we have right now. Okay, before Obama came into office, racism was pretty much a dead thing. You could put the amount of members of the Aryan Brotherhood, the Ku Klux Klan, and all of them on a single cruise ship and have a buttload of space left over. Hell, you could have probably put all of them on a yacht and they not having to bump elbows, because there was so few of them left in the United States. And when Obama got elected, I didn't vote for him. Hell, I did not get to vote that year because I was in the hospital relearning how to walk, and nobody brought me my to where I could vote. Okay, hate hate's one of those things that drives me nuts, man. And
Well, Richard, what I'll say is this goes far afield,
the reason
and
I brought
there's
it
so
up,
many, and there's so many different things that have to be taken into account into this. Okay,
the reason
there
why
have
I bring,
there have always been far left
Mhm.
and far right groups
Yep.
in this country. There always have been since they've been around.
Yep, it's one of the
Since
reasons
they've been
why
around.
Washington did not want us to
Okay.
have political parties. He just wanted us
Well, yeah. Because I'll say it this way: the populace was mostly homogenous. We are not that country anymore.
well, the
It-
quintessential
it's just
American.
it's just what it is.
I've said this before. The quintessential American political ideology is what is today called libertarianism.
Yeah,
Keep
and
the
so
government small, keep it out of my way, and
Yeah.
we will do for ourselves.
enough to secure your ability to make decisions
Mhm. And
for
protect you from
you.
people trying to take your stuff. That was
Well,
the
yeah,
idea.
we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's not jump ahead. Okay. For that to be maintained, which is why we have a U.S. Marines.
Mhm.
Okay, and for us to not throttle each other.
Yep.
Okay, it's pure and simple. The thing is this: as time progressed, more people looked at that and said, that could actually work.
Mhm.
And people brought their own ideals into this conversation. And over time, that expression has broadened. But here's the difference. Up until the last couple of decades, and this is where I'm gonna say, look, show me otherwise. Up
Mhm.
until the past couple of decades, most anyone coming to this plot of land on this little blue marble came with the understanding that I am not coming to replace or subvert
I'm coming to join.
that which is already there.
Yeah, they were coming to join us and be part of
Correct.
And
I am coming to add my voice to the choir, not tell the rest of the choir what key they should sing in, what set of notes they should sing, and how the rest of this song is going to go.
Exactly.
This is how it has been for almost 250 years. And for the past couple of decades, for whatever reason, our politicians and our media have fostered that environment where that could take hold. Okay?
Well, it comes.
Past couple of decades, that's what this has happened. This is what has happened.
It comes down to the fact that the politicians believe that the people that are coming in and bringing their culture, their language, and everything, and being separate, they want that because they want to keep people isolated in their little boxes, so it's easier for them to manipulate and control and get their votes.
See, here's the thing.
Oh, let me say this because this is something I've been watching for the past. Since we had the election cycle that we just had, and how we were seeing so many of the elections went in ways that I was like, "Well, you got to be kidding me! They elected that person." It's like what's going on in Wisconsin, and they're in Dearborn, and these places where the salamis are like the majority now, where they're actually hiring cops that are from Salamia, because the majority of the people that live there don't speak English, only speak their language. It's the politicians are allowing this and promoting this because it allows them to control that population.
Here's a key difference. For many years, the same argument was levied here in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, folks are coming in and they're speaking Spanish. Well, for quite some time, if you did not speak English and you were from a Spanish-speaking country, native Spanish speakers were like, "What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not learning English?" Okay.
Exactly. That was the whole deal.
I'm going to turn around. I'm going to quote my mom, God rest her soul. She would say, "USA, American people," and her definition for saying that was, "We're in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We can speak Spanish at home, but you're going to speak English because that's recognized as the primary language, even if it's not enshrined in the constitutional amendment." But the vast majority of people who are here recognize this is how we're conversing and interacting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to learn how they are best communicated with, because we want everyone else to recognize that we are no different. I'm going to repeat that last part. We want everyone to recognize that we are no different. That is not the way that things are happening today.
Because they've used identity politics to divide people, to make it easy to control.
Correct. And
that was the whole thing. When I was growing up, I had friends that came to our school that worked for my dad when he was the head groundskeeper there at Fairfield, that were Hispanic, but they spoke English. They did not expect you to bend over backwards for them. In fact, several of them was constantly requesting us to not let them slip back and just start speaking in Spanish.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between today and then. When we started to allow push 1 for English, push 2 for Spanish, that's when we pretty much lost the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying you should have somebody there that can help out.
I'll go even further. I grew up in a mixed neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We had, absolutely, I grew up in a mixed neighborhood. We had native, native as in, born here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it this way: white Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
We had folks from the Caribbean, and I'm talking about Bahamians, Jamaicans, Haitians, Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, and guess what? We all spoke English to each other in school.
Mm-hmm.
We might have in our own little groups spoken Creole or Spanish, okay? But guess what? We spoke English to each other, and it wasn't a problem.
Yep.
It wasn't an issue. We did not see each other as different.
Yep.
What has happened in the passing decades is that, for whatever reason, probably a topic for a different stream, academia has introduced, as you said, identity politics, where your identity is defined by who you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was in school, like I said, there was a group there that spoke. They were native Spanish speakers. Problem was, if a couple of them started talking to each other in Spanish, the other Spanish speakers jumped on their shit and said, "No, English now.
Yeah, yeah,
You're being
yeah,
disrespectful."
yeah, yeah. Hey, we would have in middle school and high school, we would have folks who were like, "Hey, so and so doesn't speak Spanish. Okay, let's be respectful." And the
Yep.
funny part, and the funny part, Richard, was that they were more than happy to, okay, teach me what you guys are saying. Teach me. There's not a problem. It was never a question.
Yep.
It was never an us and them. Okay. It was always well, how are we talking to each other? How are we expressing things to each other? Okay, we used to have friends who would talk to some of the Latin girls using Spanish phrases. They were hitting on a girl. He thought she was cute, and he would try to talk to her in Spanish. I mean, never mind his pronunciation was crap, but
Yeah.
he was making a go of it. And she
We actually had
understood,
somebody.
he was making an effort.
We actually
Okay.
had somebody that taught a douchebag
It-
the wrong Spanish words.
Yeah, and it
That-
was
just
never
to see
a problem.
Imagine a Lithero going up to a girl
It was,
and
but the
using
point is,
words that are like,
but the thing is, Richard, it was never seen as malicious.
yes, I
It
know.
was never taken as a malicious thing. Okay. And when someone who is not a native English speaker went and spoke to a native English speaking girl, it was never taken as malicious either. I mean, never mind what the parents might have said and stuff like that, but it was like, yeah, we're trying to get to know each other. We're trying to hang out. It was never a, well, you're not in my group and therefore you're so and so. But
Yeah, nowadays
today,
they start going, oh, you're trying to culturally
Yeah,
appropriate.
today, that's the norm. Why? Because the education system is pushing that upon
These kids.
these minds.
And
Okay.
it's one of those things that's always got to me. Now, we started out talking about immigration policies that's so messed up.
You know, we never talked about unemployment, right?
Oh, we'll definitely be talking about that because I've got these pictures that you sent me that I can share in a few minutes.
Oh, I think that's going to scare some of the people who see this stream.
Because I mean, the unemployment stuff is interesting because, well, it's those things that a lot of people. Let's see, hold on, I've got to find the pictures.
Yeah, whichever one you want to pull up first.
All right, I'm trying to, dude.
No, take your time. Take your time. I mean,
I'm using Firefox as my browser, and it does it entirely different than the way Google did it, which I understood better.
I think we talked about the fact that that culture has been fundamentally affected by how the younger generations than you and I have been oriented by the education system, by the social media platforms, by the media.
All right, hold on a minute. I'm trying to.
So, yeah, if anybody's listening into this.
Damn it. Okay, I'm going to have to download this and then upload it into the background, so give me a minute. Okay, give me a moment. Because these numbers are some really messed up stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, there is it's scary that we have. It's one of the reasons why the H-1B visa thing worries the heck out of me about how it's been used in the past.
It's been around for over 30 years, and I think that if people actually knew more in depth of how it has been
Abused.
that's one way of seeing it. That's one way of wording it. Okay, I don't use that word because I sort of think that, you know, that phrase of the law of unintended consequences.
Yep.
I think that's what we're experiencing. Okay,
here's the first
you're
picture that
seeing,
you sent me.
yeah, what you're seeing here is the number of layoffs that have come about since I believe this metric was 2022. Okay, oh no, excuse me. U.S. job cuts in 2025 reached 1.1 million as of October, already much higher than 2024's yearly total of 761,000. Okay, this is taken this is taken from this is taken from the company or the group called Visual Capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's searchable. Okay, the source is Challenger Gray and Christmas. I guess that is
You have the
an
link to it that you can put in the chat.
I don't, because I pulled that image off of X, but I suspect that if anybody downloads that picture all out of the stream and plugs it into Google, it will show them where they got it.
All right, cool.
Okay, you know, Google is pretty good at image searching. Like I said, the source is Visual Capitalist. It was posted up on X earlier today, and it shows by state the volume of layoffs. Okay, notice that the states where there is they are the highest volume of layoffs are typically what one would consider some of the high volume technology states.
Yeah.
Okay. The surprising one there is Georgia, but then again, a lot of business has left the West Coast and moved into Georgia and Tennessee and Florida. So
Georgia has also been one of the places where a lot of the people fleeing Hollywood, the creatives that have been fleeing Hollywood, have been going down there and setting up shop around Atlanta.
Doesn't surprise me.
Ditto with the ones leaving New York that are in the entertainment industry. I can't remember who was saying that there was 2 states that people were talking about that they expected to become 3 becoming Hollywood East, and that was Georgia, North Carolina, and where's Memphis?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Or Nashville. You know.
Nashville. Tennessee. Now the funny part is you look at this migration. Okay. You look at this migration and you ask yourself, why is this way? Okay. Look at the kind of business that is done in each one of these particular states, and where the businesses operating in these states have traditionally shuffled their work. Where they've shuffled their work. Okay, because what this picture does not show what this picture does not show is what kind of work were they doing before the layoffs.
Yeah,
That's what
that's what's got me, because look at we had ICE come into Charlotte this past week, and they took out a whole lot of construction workers. And I've got friends of mine that were sitting there complaining about the fact that so many of the construction sites are now empty.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you do know that there are people that would be working there if they were paying a living wage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I wasn't a cripple, I'd probably be doing that kind of work because I like building shit. But hey, you know, there's for what is it now? You're in my same age category. I'm 55, and you're in my age category, right?
Yeah, yeah. You're a youngin', but that's fine.
All right. You remember when we were in school, they kept saying, work smarter, not harder, and kept pushing you to go to college and not do trade schools and things of this nature. Oh, you need to go to college. Don't go to a trade school. Don't be the person that's picking up trash. Don't be the person building stuff. Don't be a plumber, blah, 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 blah. Because of that, we have there are places in Florida right now that if you were a carpenter, you can go there and you can get paid several $100s an hour just doing basic carpentry. Because there was a guy who was 74 years old, and his doctor basically told him he had to stop because his body just could not allow him to continue doing the carpentry work, even with people he hired to help him do it, because his arthritis was that bad. And he was the only carpenter in that area. And he was talking about the fact that, but I'm making $500 an hour, and was living a really good life. And they basically told him, no, you got to retire, dude. If you keep this up, you're going to die. And and it's on the inside coast,
right?
The Gulf of America coast.
Yeah. So
you're not in Florida, are you?
No, I am.
Okay.
I am.
You know
We're not necessarily immune, but if you look at this picture, we've been somewhat shielded by the fact that several businesses have moved from California to this particular state. I do have my concerns that move is kind of setting us up for future failure, because those folks moving here from, I'll give you an example, from the Bay Area are startups that are not long lasting job creating industry. Okay. So my concern is that number that you see there for Florida is probably set to balloon significantly within the next 3 to 4 years. Okay. I would not be surprised by that at all, because most of what's coming over here from the Bay Area are companies escaping some of the insane tax structure that is being imposed by the state of California.
Yeah, we had that problem happen here in Waxhaw with the people that were fleeing Charlotte.
Yeah. So,
and right now, our infrastructure is stressed out the yin yang, because the local politicians decided to classify the building of. They finally allowed us to have a couple of apartment complexes. Instead of classifying those apartment complexes as residential like it should be, guess what they classified it as? Commercial. And remember how I said our infrastructure is stressed out right now? Do you know how often we have to call plumbers to come and rotor-rooter the heck out of the thing? Because and it's not us that's got the problem. It's where our equipment, our pipes hook into the town's infrastructure because the infrastructure is not able to handle the amount of
Yeah.
sewage that's
Yeah.
going through it.
Yeah, look, I'll give you an example. I would put up the traffic in South Florida against LA any day of the week. Any day of the week. I would put up our traffic against southeast, southwest Atlanta any day of the week. Any day of the week. No question, no question of it. Okay? No question of it. And part of that is the influx of demand for the infrastructure, for an infrastructure that was not prepared for that influx of throughput, for lack of a better phrase. It was not designed for that kind of throughput necessity. Oh, I am glad you brought this picture up.
All right, let me see if I can switch it around to make it easier for people to see it without our pictures in the way. Let me see.
If you move us out of the way.
That's what I'm trying to figure out how I can do that really quick.
Okay.
Is that it?
Nope, because your picture's up in the foreground. Yeah, if you could move us out to the right. Well, here's the nutshell, folks. Okay. Yeah. If you look at that picture and you look at the left-hand side, you can see that early 2022, there was almost 2 million folks thereabouts of claiming unemployment benefits. Sometime in middle 2022 to late 2022, companies for whatever reason went on a hiring binge. Okay, this is agglomerated. They went on a hiring binge, and so there was a relatively, and I'll say artificial, dip in the unemployment rate. This started to rise back up as companies who recognized that they had, quote unquote, overemployed into the market. And this then stabilized during 2023 because, companies weren't quite sure whether they really wanted people to come back to the office or were they still were going to be running remote. Oh, well, there's that Delta version of the COVID virus. And so that kind of sort of stabilized for a few months there.
Well, that all came about because of the government subsidies that a lot of businesses were given. If you hire these people
to retain employees, retain employees, correct. As that started to dry up, unemployment started to creep back up to the point where we are now. Okay, so part of that is the fact that they didn't have money to keep people around that they had brought around just in case. And people could turn around and say, well, AI isn't impacting employment and this and that. The problem is with statistics from the government, they don't show a couple of metrics that are important to take into account. Like, again, we're not political pundits here, but we know a little bit about math. And one of those things are that folks are naturally going to give up if they can't get jobs after 6 to 9 months.
Yep.
And once their unemployment benefits dry up, guess what's happening to those statistics? Our dear government does not report that.
Well, after a certain amount of time, they stopped counting the numbers.
Correct.
Saying that they
Correct.
dropped off.
Correct. Correct. This is just showing the number of people who are receiving benefits. This picture does not show, literally speaking, those people who could be employable who are not employable. I'm going to repeat that one more time. This picture does not show the people who could be employable who are not employed. That number would be significantly higher, not just from boomers or Gen Xers, but it's going to have a whole lot of Gen Yers, Gen Zers, and millennials, or whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
Okay. This
So
number is
once you
significantly higher.
now, if you're not, especially if you're a single person, being homeless and unemployed is a lot easier than being married and supporting a family.
Correct.
Trust me on that one.
Correct.
I was willing to do any job. I mean, any shit job that they would have offered me money for, even if it was under the table, I was willing to take it.
I wouldn't admit that publicly, but I suspect that there's a myriad of people in that particular position. Okay? And by the way, this picture is likely to some degree taking into account the impact of AI on the job market, just to some degree. Okay? To some degree. But it probably isn't demonstrating non-replaced jobs because AI undertook the function of that person who is being employed. Okay. I offline, of course, spoken to people who were like, I'm not coming back into the job market. It doesn't make sense for me. I'm nearing retirement. I'm going to find any old job that I can as long as I can pay my bills and just coast.
Yeah.
Just coast. Okay.
I totally get that, because there are places out there right now that they've really screwed the pooch in the bad way, because.
Well, I'll throw you another one. Okay, I'll throw you another one. Okay, this is really, really, really recent. Okay, really, really recent. All right. Shoot. Okay, here we go. All right. All right. A recent thing. Okay. A recent thing. Right. And you could call this one of AI's dirty little secrets. All right. A lot of businesses have taken the tack, Richard, that our business model is broken not because we screwed up our business model, but because our people have let us down.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if we could replace the people with AI, with automated means, I'll say it that way, automated means of some sort. Some people will call that agents, whatever. Okay. They will throw out doublespeak to cover up the fact that their core business functions, the way that they do it, is in fact what is the problem. Okay. And they'll throw out like, well, AI will make us more productive. We won't need as many people on the books. Now, it's been known for many, many years that the single most expensive expenditure of any business is the humans.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember analyses back from the late 2010s that would show anywhere between 53 and 57% of the gross expenditure of a business was in the cost of managing the humans. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, the word managing is wrong. It's inaccurate. Okay. But it's anything that had to do with humans. Okay. All right. Go with me. Between 53 and 57%. So the answers have been, well, AI will make us more productive. We'll need fewer people because of AI. We'll be able to innovate faster. Okay. Well, here, I'm going to hit you with something. And this is numbers. Okay. Numbers. Okay. Salesforce, huge company, right? We've heard of that. Everybody's heard of Salesforce. Yeah? Guess what? Despite having laid off over 4,000 employees, by the way, previously stated in the name of productivity, I'm quoting the CEO here, okay? Quoting the CEO, let go of over 4,000 folks. They reported the worst revenue just after announcing all that. Okay, and the narrative is across all these companies is that they're trying to get their acts together. Amazon a few weeks ago laid off 14,000 employees. Many of them were said to be from middle to upper management, supervisor level and above. Okay, one of the things that you don't see in the media is the overinvestment in quote unquote AI infrastructure and the underutilization.
Yeah.
Somewhere the company has to explain how they spent so much money on things that they aren't getting ROI on.
Well, one of the things that,
people,
the automation, how I consider AI part of the automate, how they're trying to automate everything. Just recently, I think it was BMW got rid of a lot of their automated systems because the robots are, they said that they're falling apart and they're no longer cost effective. That it's that it's actually cheaper for them to hire humans to do those jobs again.
Oh yeah. And it's the thing is, look, company spends, I don't know, $5 million on chatbots. Guess what? Customer satisfaction goes through the floor.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because you're sitting there, hey, I need to talk to a person. Well, I don't know what we're supposed to do. Can you answer these questions for me? And you keep answering the same question over and over again. They don't do nothing. They're like, look, I need to talk to a human being. Let me talk to a human being. Because I went through that when somebody hijacked my Amazon account. And it took me 2 weeks to get my Amazon account back.
So here's the net. Okay, here's the net. And this is anecdotal. Why? Because companies never want to advertise their failures, Richard. Okay?
Exactly.
But the anecdotal word on the street is 8 out of 10 businesses are failing miserably at applying AI to transform their business. They're burning hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Okay. Hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Okay. So here's the answer. We're going to help fix them, Richard. Number one, fix your broken stuff manually. Figure out what your processes are that are messed up and fix those. Okay. If you've got good people, use AI to help them remain being good people.
Yep.
Okay. Number 3, if interacting with AI pisses off your customer, stop doing it. It's the old, hey, Dr. Spake, it hurts when I do this.
Then don't do that.
What's Dr. Spake's answer going to be? Well, stop doing that. Okay.
I look at AI is an enhancement tool. It's not a replacement.
Correct.
And that's the problem. That I truly believe that whenever you go and you get your MBA, you have a class that you have to go to that teaches you nothing's your problem once you make a decision. It's everybody else's fault.
You see, therein lies the rub. It goes back to how maybe we were talking about earlier about how our education system has failed us and is actually serving to divide us further. Guess what? The education system for business is doing the same thing. It teaches quote unquote future leaders to don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. No, your problem is to help drive solutions. You own it. They can suggest, they can recommend, but you have the title and position you have to make it happen. And divesting or delegating it wholesale to someone who isn't empowered to actually make it happen is your fault.
Yep.
But that is not what is being taught.
Okay, I was in a conversation not that long ago with some other vets, and we were discussing how different officers are today than they were when we were in.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, the officer, even if they were home on leave and somebody screwed up, it was their fault. Dude, I wasn't on that side of the planet when that happened. Yes, but it was your command. It's your fault. And that was how it is in the military. And that's how it used to be in business. Why do you think when the Great Depression happened and it was Black Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
When everything crashed on the stock market and people were jumping out off the top of buildings because they screwed up and it was their fault and they took responsibility for it by, oh shit, I just destroyed how many people's entire lives by their money just disappearing because of my actions. It's my fault. Mm-hmm. And they took the ultimate responsibility for it and ended themselves. That's the difference of then to now. Nowadays, you've got all these business leaders that make these horrible decisions and they start saying, oh, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. For a while there, I was actually giving Bob Iger some credit because he took the blame for what happened with Star Wars. Even though it was Kathleen Kennedy who did it, he took the blame for it because it was his decision to let her have total control over Lucasfilm and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that dude, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to not go on an Iger rant.
Mm-hmm.
But he has become the quintessential example of what's wrong with corporate culture of today. What he wants is the right thing. I don't care that my customers are basically telling me, no, this isn't what I want. Stop serving me slop and saying it's filet mignon. Can you say the word for me, Marcello? Filet mignon.
Filet mignon. That's correct. Okay. You're right. You're right.
Stop serving me animal excrement and saying it's filet mignon.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's not listening because he has his reality and he's trying to force us to live it too. And I'm seeing that more and more in business. And it's insane because the market sets everything. Because if somebody, look, this money that's here in my wallet is my money. You want my money. Give me something I want. Then I will give you my money in exchange for it. But if you keep presenting to me something I don't want, what happens to my wallet? It gets closed. Mm-hmm. And then when you start calling me names, that wallet goes back in my pocket and I walk away. And guess what happens to your business? There's a little dove flies to heaven saying, this business is no more. That's what happens, boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's like business school, they're no longer teaching that.
I posit if they ever actually did. At least in the United States.
Okay, look at Rodney Dangerfield. Do you remember Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah, of course.
One of my favorite all-time comedians. And he did the movie Back to School. And he was playing a businessman whose son was thinking about dropping out of college. And his son goes, well, you never went to college. Why should I go to college? And he goes, all right, I'll tell you what. If you stay in college, I'm coming to go to college with you.
Right.
And it was a Robert Downey Jr. movie, too.
Mm-hmm.
Guys and gals, if you have not seen Back to School,
You
go
should
watch it.
go
It's
watch it.
awesome.
Yeah, it's even got a Star Trek alumni in there.
And it's got the triple Lindy. Oh God, that was so cool. So go watch that movie. But in there, he's taking classes that he's dealt with as a businessman, which included a business course.
Mm-hmm.
And the professor says, we're going to be making widgets. And he's like, what the hell's widgets? You've got to know what it is you're making that the people are going to want to buy. And he starts rattling this stuff off. And he even starts talking about having to deal with greasing the hands of unions and politicians and stuff like that. All the practical stuff.
Right.
And the kids in the class, instead of looking to the principal, just turn to him and start writing down everything he's saying.
Yeah, they're
and
taking
the
notes.
like, going, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Right.
And there's several really good movies that came out where they showed where people going back to college and having to deal with that sort of thing and say that's not how the real world works.
Right.
And it makes me sit there and wish, that some of these people would.
Now the thing is, you ask yourself why.
Yeah,
because when you look at when you look at how management is taught in academia, the structures for things like individual incentives are taught like a mathematical equation. Okay, 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, 3 + 3 = 6, etc. Once you're in the world of business, you recognize that there are politics at play. Okay.
BOTE Chris is in the house, and he says, "No respect, I tell you."
Thank you.
Yes, Rodney Dangerfield, man, I miss him.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. Somebody brave enough to join this conversation. I appreciate that. Yeah,
like I said,
I know that this is. Yeah, I know that this is the middle of the night for folks like Shrubby and stuff like that, but I know that some folks could have joined us. So I appreciate you joining us, Chris. But to get where I was going, though, Richard, is that all this stuff is taught as theoretical and raw numbers. But what happens is that when you get into the world of business, those numbers equate to certain outcomes for your well-being. Okay, it's what I turn around and call mortgage-driven development. Okay, your incentives come at you as challenges, just like a video game. I hate to say it that way, but kind of like a video game where for Richard to win, Marcello must lose.
Nope, that's not how it works, man.
But that's how it's run. But that's how it's run. It's not run as a we thing. It's run as a me against thing. If the head of sales and the head of marketing have competing outcomes as incentives for them to make the kind of compensation that give them the lifestyle that they could either have or have become accustomed to, who do you think ends up losing?
Yeah. Well, the way it used to be,
somebody does. It's not a zero sum.
It used to be you all benefited when the company benefited.
No,
just like it used to be when it came to the country.
That's not how business runs today, Richard. It is
That's
not.
It
is not a rising tide lifts all boats. It really isn't. You could listen to management pundits that shovel that and upper management, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make a dent in our structures today. And I'll go even further for anybody who's listening. Oh, well, that doesn't happen in Eastern cultures. Bull. Absolutely not. If anything, you could look at how the culture in certain Asiatic countries right now, and the 1% in those countries are doing no different than what people accuse the 1% are doing here in the United States.
Also,
The
remember,
evidence
in
is there.
Asian culture, saving
The evidence is
face
there.
is so important. I mean, look at we've been talking about Nintendo on Fireside Chats for a while now.
Yeah.
And Nintendo is so overextended, they have to save face because that's a big important thing in Asiatic culture.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so we've got that same problem to a certain extent here. It's one of the reasons why it can't be my fault. It has to be somebody else's fault.
Oh, yeah.
The saving face aspect of it.
Uh-huh.
And Tony's in the audience, and he says, "Phrasing, some of us are eating while listening." Thank you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying, when it comes down to it, the way it used to be, both in business and in our country, was a rising tide brings up all the boats. We all benefit when the company we're working for profits. We all benefit when our country is profitable and when are being successful and being what's another word for being successful? Productive. That's another good word, is productive. When the country is productive, when your business is productive, everybody benefits. But when you start dividing people up and saying, "Oh, the reason why you don't get anything good is because of that person over there," that's when the division starts. That's when they're trying to control you.
Right.
And it frustrates me that there's so many people who have bought into this stuff. Keep saying, "Oh, the man is keeping me down," while they're supporting the man that's keeping them down. Not realizing the fact that the news media isn't its own thing. They're a propaganda arm of a political ideology that is purposefully dividing you and keeping you at each other's throats. They dehumanize one group to make it easier to control another group.
Yep.
So, and that's why I keep saying, if you guys have never heard of this book, it is called On Propaganda by Edward Bernays. This was Joseph Goebbels' Bible. This is what he used to bring
here's the thing.
National Socialist German Workers' Party to power and got the little funny mustache man in charge.
We can try to unravel. We can try unravel all this stuff, Richard. But the one takeaway that I would after almost 2 hours of talking about this, that I would say, everybody, you've heard us talk about a bunch of different topics. One thing that I would implore you, okay, don't listen to Richard, don't listen to me. 2 words. Think. No, excuse me. 3 words. I apologize. My mistake. Think for yourselves.
Do your own research. Don't listen to the media. Oh, you shouldn't do your own research. You should just.
I mean, I know it's a lot of work. I know it's challenging, but the fact is that if you look at what has made humanity progress, it has been through difficulty that has made us be able to emerge how we are. It is not through safety. It is not through comfort. It is not through simplicity that will keep us going further.
If we look at the cycles, it is said that easy times make soft men. Soft men
Amen.
make hard times. Hard
Amen.
times make hard men who make good times.
Amen.
Now, that basically rolls into the fact that it is through our adversity, it is through our hard work that we build good things.
Correct.
And we have to make, and right now, as hard as everything has gotten, is because for a while there, everything got so super easy. And people stopped doing their own homework. For 100 years, people stopped researching things themselves. They just took experts at face value. And we're finding out that the majority of those quote unquote experts were full of shit, just throwing out propaganda that was made to make us easy to control and to manipulate us. That's why the mainstream news media is pretty much on the endangered species / about to be extinct list. Newspapers are dying, if not dead. Mainstream, the three major news outlets, ABC, NBC, CBS, what's happening to them? They're almost dead because people see them as being lying and manipulative, because that's what they've been used as. They've been used as a propaganda arm to divide us and keep us at each other's throats. Why do you think I keep saying, boys and girls, talk to one another? Share the stuff you love. Show your humanity, because for the past 50 plus years, our site has been dehumanized. I've been watching man on the street interviews coming out of Seattle and Portland, where they're talking to these Antifa people who keep saying they want to kill Nazis. There's a place down in Texas where these Antifas are running around passing out Christmas cards on people's porches that say, all I want for Christmas is a headless Nazi. And they're putting them on people's porches who are flying the American flag. Not a Trump flag, but an American flag. We have to do something about this before the Bubba effect comes into play. I keep saying this because we do not want the Bubba effect to happen. The Bubba effect is what special operators refer to when the average guy gets fed up with all the BS and decides, I ain't taking it no more, and they do something about it. There was a Michael Douglas movie called Falling Down that was made, I think, in the 80s, was it?
Early 90s, I think.
All right. That dude is the Bubba effect.
Yeah. So, that's the challenge, because that movie is used as a placeholder for the far right.
Okay.
Okay.
They were trying to say that's
it's a placeholder. The fact is that could be a placeholder for anybody who is
fed up.
Fed up, but to a point where they cannot cognitively enter into discourse about what's really going to happen and how can I address my concerns. Okay, right or wrong, how can I address my concerns? Okay, because I'm not here necessarily to beat down on anyone per se. I have my own views. Okay, my thing is this, that if we swing a pendulum any direction further than some equilibrium, it is likely going to bring out the worst in some of us, regardless of where
we've got right now, Marcello, is the fact that the pendulum has been artificially held from making its return swing.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
And
It's
if anybody
I'm
knows
not gonna
anything
disagree.
about physics, whenever you stop the pendulum from making its return swing, when it finally does get past whatever that resistance is, it will
Mhm.
overcompensate. Why do you think I am so terrified of the Bubba effect? Because that overcompensation, that's why Funny Mustache Man came to power in the Weimar Republic, was the fact that that pendulum swing was so
Many,
messed up.
yeah, many things, many things went into it, and,
Yep.
and over exuberance by the Versailles Treaty, and
Hmm.
a misunderstanding of that we need to beat them into so utter submission that yes, of course they will capitulate, not taking into account that humans by and large will absorb only so much and
Hmm.
at some point lash out.
Exactly.
This is the same for any animal life. They will sustain anything and then lash out. That's not to say that how they lashed out was correct. It was not. It
Nope.
was not. It gave rise to many things which we also did not want.
Well, look at what happened with the Bolshevik Revolution in
Oh,
Russia,
but
and
that
that was
came
the
about.
same
But that
deal.
came about even before.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that came about as a result of Mao and other things where tens of millions of people also gave. They were unalived.
Hmm.
Okay, they were unalived. But that's again a different conversation.
Yep.
Where
One of
I'm
these
going.
days, that
Yeah,
that's definitely
yeah.
going to be a Rumble exclusive where we talk about
where
that.
where 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 I wanted to go with this conversation was, folks, we've had a few months of a new approach to governing. Okay,
Hmm.
I think everybody needs to lean in and recognize that as Americans, we're going to have to take our own destiny in our own hands. I'm not saying to insurrect. No, 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 no. We do not have a king, so don't be stupid.
Yep.
Okay? Don't be stupid. We don't have a king. That's not what this is. Right? What I'm saying is take hold of your own destiny. Make something of yourself. We have friends who are making a go of it, building their communities on this platform. They're doing it the hard way. Okay? We should support them. Okay? They give back to others. They're there for others when they're in hard straits.
Hmm.
We need to be there for them when they are in hard straits. These are the folks that make America who it is. Okay?
It's like I've said before, a country, a government does not make a country great. It is the content and
It is the
character
people.
of its citizens that makes it great. Torqueville, the French guy, was watching what happened during the French Revolution and how it went so bloody. And he came to the United States to find out why the American Revolution worked when the French Revolution didn't. And he wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And comparing the differences between the American Revolution and the
Yeah.
French Revolution. And it literally boiled down to the difference between the French people and the American people.
Mm-hmm.
That it was the content of our character that made that difference. And
Yeah, and
that's one
it
of the.
always has, and it always will. I think that if Americans lose their sense of we we at our heart, at our core, believe in self-sufficiency,
Mhm.
but have sufficient compassion to help others when they are unable to meet that, yet they also believe in their self-sufficiency, and that as they restore themselves, enact that self-sufficiency to pass it on continually to those who are also in a situation where they are not able to be self-sufficient, that when they become self-sufficient, will continue propagating that same ideal, so that that idea of I'm going to stay in my victimhood does not become the norm.
Yep.
And that is where we are today.
Look at, okay, in our online family here, Tony does relief effort stuff all the time.
I wasn't going to name names, okay?
Hey, I'm going to say this because he's my brother and I love him, and he is an inspiration.
I think anybody who's listening to this knows who those folks are.
Well,
we don't even have to give them names, okay?
Well, I'm hoping that even people who aren't in our circles are listening, because
we got them. We got them. You know,
and that's where I'm coming at. I'm giving examples because one of my things that I like saying, so much so, I even made a banner for it about us being positive change and being an example for others.
Correct.
To me, that's what Tony, with the relief efforts, have been doing. He's been the positive change.
Yeah, I mean, and we have other folks too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and we've got so many people within this community. Casey, we've got
Theta, we've got Shrubby, Shrubby, throwing those damn unicorns out there.
Mm-hmm.
Damn you to hell. You know? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go, Richard. I'm gonna go. What Charlton Heston? Damn you, you darn dirty shrub! You've blown it to hell. Yeah, yeah, shrubs. Mary Sigvaldison. Yeah, we're gonna name some names. What the hell? Let's just throw it out there. Okay, all these folks that are out there day after day supporting each other, even with a $5. Mm-hmm. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow, doggone it.
Yep, and I'm wanting to do a small little thing like this tomorrow after, just so people can come together and say what they're thankful for, because Thanksgiving is fortunately not been commercialized as much as Easter or Christmas has been. It's literally a celebration of your family and saying what you're thankful for. Mm-hmm. And yesterday, when we did with Wavo, the special that he did, and I made the statement of what I'm the most thankful for is all of you, mm-hmm. because y'all give me a reason to keep pushing forward and keep going. Just like my cats, especially Kraken, who is like so codependent on me, it's not even funny. Mm-hmm. That I worry about what would happen to him, and I worry about what would happen to y'all if something happened to me. And I don't want to cause any of y'all pain.
Yeah. So I know you and I went over through a lot of negative stuff, or what people might say negative stuff. Mm-hmm. we were gonna have a candid conversation. It was a while coming. Okay.
Yep, because I would love to sit and talk about what I think the best way to fix our immigration policy is. I would love to do nothing but let's talk about immigration policy. We lay out how to fix it.
At some point, I would love for us to be able to pull someone from Congress to have this conversation, and I hope someday we can. I've
got a plan on how to fix it. It's got to
start with us. It's got to start with us.
Exactly. Okay? I've got a plan. I've had a plan to fix what's wrong with the healthcare system since the 2000s. And it's simple and it's easy to do. Why is healthcare so expensive? It's a twofold reason. And in the UK, this is extremely a big problem, and it's also a problem in Canada and the rest of Europe. We don't have enough people in the medical profession, that they're kept out of it because of the expense of going to medical training schools.
Yeah, it's going to get even worse.
And the second reason to it, especially here in the States, is this little thing called malpractice insurance. Back in the 90s and the aughts, when I was working
who said
in retail. Hold on, let me do this, because when I was doing working as the manager of a convenience store gas station, there was 2 separate landscaping companies that would come and refuel all the time throughout the day. One of them and his wife, who was doing this, he was a see, what's the phrase that you use for somebody who operates on people's in their chest cavity? Do you know what I'm talking about?
An internist.
Yeah, he was a surgeon who and his wife was a surgical nurse, and they came to the realization that they were spending, I think it was 9 to 10 months of the year, all the money that they were making was just going to pay for their malpractice insurance. And so they quit. And they said that just mowing grass and doing landscaping, they were making more money doing that than they were as medical professionals. And it became so important for them. It became so much more important to them to just give that up, because they weren't actually doing what they loved when it came to doing their medical work and their healing people. They were so terrified of malpractice lawsuits.
It bubbles up again. Food. You see, that's the thing. When we get in these conversations, there's so many topics that are not plainly discussed. Okay, and that's the whole thing. Maybe we could call this not just a fireside chat. It doesn't just talk. Let's call it plain talk.
Yep, that works.
Plain talk. Okay, plain talk, because everything has. I'm not going to say it's root cause, but it's root causes. There's no one single reason per se, other than saying humans are frail, human frailty. Okay, if you were going to say one root cause for everything, human frailty, fantastic. Now let's talk about the details. But that sends us in so many different directions. So we can have that for future conversations.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but we've been at this for a couple of hours, Richard. So
yeah, we're about to hit the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I kind of want to, put a nice little capstone on this to say that in the lead up to the hours for tomorrow, okay, Thanksgiving here in the United States, we've mentioned some folks by name. We've not mentioned some folks by name, but for those of us who have accepted us into our broader community, I'd like to say thanks. Okay. Hey, Max. Great freaking timing. Way to show up at the end of the show.
I thought.
Hey, man.
Don't confuse me with details.
Hey, okay. If Max wants to talk for about an hour more, I can more than do that.
I thought it was.
Okay, fine.
Hey, you're more than welcome to stick around, man.
Fine.
If Marcello has to roll,
okay,
he can roll.
No. This was my crazy idea. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. But Max,
yes,
stay on point. Oh my God, the fish.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, the fish has showed up, and he's going to bring up everything from the sewer.
Hey, fish.
My God. Okay, fine.
You know what? I am sorry. I'm on West Coast time. Okay. You know what? I'm not sorry. I'm on West Coast time, but I'm on West Coast time. Okay. I'm a West Coast asshole. Okay.
So we're going to cover the whole.
Come out to the coast, get together, have a few laughs.
Have a good time. Fine. We'll cover it all. We'll cover it all.
Cover it all. Oh, we'll do it live. We're right here. We'll do it live.
Coast to coast. Coast to coast. That's fine. That's
one
fine.
of my okay. One of the things my plan for how to fix what's wrong with the healthcare system, and it's like I said, it's super easy. Take the public health service. That's right now. It's just an officer corps.
Mm-hmm.
Give it an enlisted corps.
Yeah.
That way, if you want to go into medicine, but you can't afford to go to medical school, enlist.
Okay.
That's simple.
Well,
and then once you've gone, however long you spend in school, you have to give that amount of time back in the service.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the public health service setting up medical training centers all across the country,
mm-hmm.
doing what the United States military medical commands used to do before the Clintons gutted it. They closed over 80% of military medical hospitals that was all around the world.
Well, you see, now you got it done it.
If you needed a surgery, but you couldn't afford it, guess who did it? One of the United States military hospitals would do it because that was how they did their training. Because the only way you can train a surgeon to be a surgeon is for them to actually do surgeries. And the Joint Chiefs of Staff begged and pleaded with Clinton not to do it, not to close down all these military hospitals.
I can't do it, Richard, because that's damned expensive, all the medical stuff, and I can't read a bill, but these people are telling me we got to stop it. And Hillary.
Nope. Richard was onto it.
Sorry.
It's the dog. No. It's the doggone attorneys. Okay. But go back to that. Go back to that. Okay. That is a very pivotal point you brought out, Richard, because the early 90s quite literally changed many things fundamentally. Okay. Most people don't realize that a lot of our employment laws also changed fundamentally in the early 90s, or at least were ratified in the early 90s. You mentioned something earlier called H-1B policies.
Yep.
Okay. Most people do not know that someone that was asking for them to vote for them in the late 20-teens was a very strong advocate for companies on how they could leverage the H-1B system to have them bring over folks for labor. The thing is this: I was in the workforce back then. Maybe some of you else were, but I certainly was. And it was always understood to be A, very selective, and B, temporary. C, okay, with a high bar of conversion. Okay?
Specialized labor.
Exactly.
Extremely specialized labor. Okay? And I remember this clearly from when I was working. Okay? Clearly. Unfortunately, this particular person, who is an attorney, most people don't realize that she was an attorney, or rather she still is, to my understanding, still part of the New York bar.
Licensed.
Okay? Licensed, yes. Okay. But a lot of her work was consulting companies who wanted to bring over said labor into the United States. The problem with us is that we did not recognize that we needed to upskill our people to this particular standard. We did not raise our standard of education to close this gap, that we were using this designation as a temporary stopgap.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
used to be American education system was the gold standard of the world. That's why so many people came here to go get educated. Now, we've let it go.
Oh God, I can speak to this, because I mean, I think a big part of it is government secured student loans. Now, when I first went to started going to college in '97, the cost of a semester, and I went to a East Coast liberal arts college. I think it was $8,000 a semester, roundabout, and that's like plus room and board. Anyway. Now it's like $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. The price has gone up 400% above inflation, but has the quality, the practicability of the degree gone up 400%. And the thing is, once these schools get you in the door, they have most of them have zero investment in you being successful on the other end. All they want you to do is stay until the time, whereas you withdraw, you don't get your full tuition back. And one example of investment in future is Stanford, or where their alumni association, if you graduate from there, and after I think 6 years you aren't making something like $125,000, $150,000, their alumni association will forgive your student loans. Now, granted, they have a hell of a large endowment, but still, that is taking an investment in the risk hazard of the degree that you choose.
Carlos Fish says, now it's come for the education, stay for the indoctrination. Exactly, Carlos.
And they've taken all this nice secured money and done, well, we've seen what they've done with it.
Yeah.
But
when I was going to school, but the first time I went, 95 to 98, I was going to a community college, and I was going to be able to transfer from Central Piedmont Community College to UNC Charlotte. That was my plan, and unfortunately, that didn't work out. But it was not so expensive as it is today.
Yeah.
I actually told my nephew, instead of going to college, tech school. Because tech school will get you a job. You'll have a job by the time you graduate.
Absolutely.
From tech school. You'll make more money. You'll make more money up front as well as in the long run. Because people who are these craftsmen and these tradesmen who, even if you're just a flipping plumber, you're making more money than a lot of doctors nowadays. I know there's a place down in Florida on the Gulf Coast that you can get. I think the guy said that he was able to charge $500 an hour, and all he was a carpenter.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean I think the post-Reagan recession was the last time you could just get a degree. Do you guys remember watching the movie Cocktail?
Yep.
And it's like he gets out of the army, he goes to Wall Street, he's looking good. God, she's like, I'd like to help you, but you don't have a college degree. It's like right after that was like the last time where if you had a college degree, you got a job. I mean, if you had a relevant college degree, you were on a management track. And when my sister is 4 years older than me, when we started entering the workforce, that promise started evaporating fast. And then we started with this H-1B program. You started competing not with just people in your own hometown or people across the nation. You were competing with people across the world. But this promise of hey, you're in high school, hey, go to college, was still being sold. But the promise was evaporating.
Well, that's it's like before when we first started about this. We grew up at a time when they kept saying work smarter, not harder, and was pushing the whole go to college thing.
Yeah.
Now you've got to have a bachelor's degree damn near just to get a job flipping burgers and dropping fries in the fry pit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's one of those things that really frustrates me about it.
Yeah.
You're
It's like,
supposed to work hard and smart.
yeah.
That's the difference. That's one of the reasons why I love Mike Rowe and the project that he started. You know, getting people to go to these trade schools. I can't remember. Okay, you know how much money a welder can make.
Yeah.
Okay. By the time these kids were ready to graduate from welding school, they had these really awesome, massive paying jobs lined up for them. And then when they go to the job and they actually found out it's hard work, they dropped out.
Yeah.
And to me, that's one of those problems with the education system,
Mm-hmm.
is because so many teachers kept pushing this ideal that, oh, look down on the garbage man that's gathering your garbage every day, even though he's making more money than many white collar professionals by doing his job.
Yeah. I mean, I know a guy here. Is retired. He used to have an electrical contracting and supply business here in the Southwest, and he was telling me we had a program where we would pay for your education to get you into an apprenticeship, and people just didn't want to do the work.
Yep. Carlos says there is an old song that covers this. Oh, won't you stay just a little bit longer?
Yeah.
And I look at this stuff, and
yeah,
when I was out in Phoenix in
Yeah.
2001, beginning of 2002, I almost started a business doing flipping apartments there at Sun City, you know, where the
Yeah.
retirement communities were at,
Mhm.
because they needed people to go in, rip out the carpets, put in new carpets, paint the walls, get rid of the stuff of the people who had passed away that the families didn't want their stuff. And I was good at that.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for the fact that I had to literally, I ended up moving back to the East Coast, originally just to come back and get the equipment to take it back to Phoenix, because my father and grandfather both were carpenters. My dad was a general contractor who, when he found out what I was doing out in Phoenix, was like, well, why don't you come here and do that? And I'm like, well, right now they're offering me, I think it was like $2,000 to $3,000 a week to do it there at that point, because they needed people that bad. And Dad was like, damn, I might as well move out there and do it.
What?
And Mom said, no.
What year was this?
2001.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And so my original plan was to come back here. And while I was here getting stuff together to do it, my grandparents were talking about going into looking into retirement homes. And the problem was they were going to have to go to separate retirement homes, because the one retirement home that was willing to take them both was going to split them up and put them on separate sides of the complex.
Oh,
because we can't have a married couple be in the same room.
How ridiculous! Unbelievable.
And I was like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I literally put my life on hold for 3.5 years so I could take care of them the last years of their life so they could stay together. And I was living off of $110 a month, because that was what 10% VA disability was getting me at the time.
How much?
$110.
Oh my.
And
Jeez.
I was living off of that while taking care of my grandparents. And my grandparents, I did not know they were doing this until after they had passed, were telling one of my friends who would show up and was taking me to the movies and out to eat and stuff, that they were giving him anywhere between $50 to $100 and saying, "Go get him something to eat, take him out,
Yeah.
do stuff," because he won't accept this money if we gave it to him. And so my friends were taking me places, and I kept telling them, "I'll pay you back." And they're like, "No, you're not. You don't have to pay me nothing. This is what friends do for friends." And then later, after my grandparents had passed away, they told me the truth. They said, "Because your grandparents, every time they offered you money, you refused it. Anytime they talked about money, you just walked out of the house and you didn't come back until hours later." And I was like, "Yeah, I had 3 rules. I did not change diapers. I did not give baths. And anytime money was mentioned, I left the house."
Okay.
And all 3 of those rules came about because of the breakup that I had that caused me to go to Phoenix to go get help for being a victim of domestic abuse.
Gotcha.
I had to leave Charlotte, North Carolina, to go all the way to Phoenix to get into a support group because none of the support groups in this area wanted a dude in their support group.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah. And my ex and the dude that she threw me away for that got her into both drugs and prostitution was running around saying that I was stealing my grandparents' money. I was touching them inappropriately and all kinds of stuff. So I had rules before they even started this stuff. And I said, "These are my rules." And they said, "Well, why are you having those rules?" Because I listed out why. And my grandparents and my parents says, "Oh, she'd never say that about you." And when it did come about, the closest that I ever got to an apology was, "I guess we might owe you an apology."
Oh, you suppose?
Yeah.
You think you might want to pre-contemplate on that, honey? Yeah. No, I had a similar experience where I'm Jewish, and I broke up with this girl who said she was Jewish, who I met in my community, and it's like within 3 weeks of her breaking up with me, she went to another rabbi downtown and said, "Hey, can you marry me and this guy?" I'm like, and it was like it was an immigration marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, he was actually Jewish, but still, I mean, and the rabbi said, "No, we know this, we know Max. We're not gonna. It's too soon. Can't do it."
Yeah.
So
before you came in, we had been talking about the fact my ex-wife and my stepson were from the UK. Okay, Carlos, you be good.
See you, Carlos.
All the hell that we went through trying to get them here legally was ridiculous because you're supposed to file the immigration paperwork in the country where you get married. And we got married here in the United States.
Yeah.
My mom took time off from her job to drive us all the several hours to go to an immigration office to file paperwork. 8 separate times. Each time they would tell us to fill out the paper. We filled out the paperwork wrong and give us an entirely different way to fill out the paperwork and what we were supposed to bring back. Several of those 8 separate times, twice it was the same person telling us 3 separate ways of filling out that paperwork.
Yeah.
And it got to a point to where my mom literally said that she couldn't take time off from work anymore to do that.
Yeah. Shit.
And we just looked at each other and we made the statement of, well, if all these other people are coming here illegally and getting all these benefits, why should we go through all this hardship trying to do it legally? And so we gave up trying to do it legally. And it just really got to me.
Yeah, I get it.
And
I mean, I can understand.
it's just really messed up. And I just got to that point where I know what we need to do to fix our immigration policy, because I tried to move to the UK. I was going to immigrate to the UK.
Yeah.
And before my accident, it was going to be a heck of a lot easier, especially considering the fact that I was going to be working for the VA based out of the U.S. Embassy. I would be working for the United States government. And the British were like, fine, come on over. And I was over there dealing with everything. And my then father-in-law was like, well, you served in the United States Navy, right? And I was like, yep. And he goes, well, I've got somebody I want you to meet. And he introduced me to one of his pub friends, which was with the British Territorial Army.
Yeah.
And he asked me, well, what did you do in the Navy? And when I told him I was a chemical, biological, radiological warfare specialist, his eyes got really big and he goes, really? Yeah. Do you still know how to do that work? Well, in 2003 and 2004, I did help with some training exercises to teach kids how to do the job when they went into Iraq and deal with all the chemical weapons that was being used, the warheads that were being used in IEDs. And he got excited and says, can we come over tomorrow to talk to you at your father-in-law's house? And I was like, sure, why not? They offered me a chance to join the British British Territorial Army. And I was like, well, I'll be working for the United States State Department. Doesn't matter. We will let you do it. And so, I mean, they were like saying, oh, we'll do this, this, and this for you. I was like, okay, cool. That's awesome. And then the accident happened and I was crippled.
Oh, damn.
And they were like, no. Even when the VA was sitting there going, because they were saying I'd be a burden on the NHS. And they're like,
oh,
the State
yeah.
Department and the VA came out and said, no, all of his medical care would be handled by the United States military bases that's still in the UK. That's where he would go for his medical care. And they wouldn't let me do it unless Emma was going to be my full-time caretaker. That would be the only way they'd do it. And if you'll remember, I said my ex-wife, my then wife, my former wife. After I was crippled, she decided she didn't want me no more. Oh, Zach wants a sword. Then I've got a couple of them around the house that I can give you, but they're here and you're there. But like I was saying, I wanted to immigrate there so I could be closer to my kids.
Yeah.
And I couldn't because of all the things they were throwing up at me. Namely, you're going to be a burden.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm looking at this stuff and going, this is messed up.
Yeah, and look at it now.
And the way that we could fix our immigration policy is if we made the H-1B visas temporary things the way they were originally meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing to do is make it to where you've got to show at least the ability to get by with English. Because
yes,
one of the most important parts about being an immigrant to a country is assimilating into your parent, your new country.
You have an implied fiduciary duty to learn the language and to know the laws so you can respect the laws, and to learn the customs so that you can take what you want into your life and give of your society into our culture. That's the melting pot.
Yep. And I got frustrated with this a mom that was complaining about the fact he was out in public praying, and he got upset that he's praying in public around people who were eating out in public bacon. And he's sitting there in tears crying about the fact, they were eating bacon while I was praying to Mecca.
Sorry, mate. Here, have a beer. what? Just trying to help.
You know,
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one of those things that if you move to a country, you've got to expect to accustomate to their ways.
Yeah.
I mean, if we went to Mexico and tried to force them to speak English around us, or expect the government to do everything in English for us, they would kick us out so damn fast. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
We can't even own property anywhere near a body of water.
Well, you can't
A
own.
foreigner
You
can't
actually
buy
can't.
land there.
You know, I could. Well, because my dad was born in Mexico, so
Yeah,
that's a story for another time.
You've got a Mexican citizenship because of that.
Yeah.
But as a foreigner, you can't buy land there, and I'm a big believer in that because I got upset when I found out that the Chinese have been coming to the United States and buying massive amounts of farmland, scraping up the topsoil and shipping it back to China.
Yeah, you know, and just to go back to the general point, the whole like with the H-1B visa, the whole idea is to bring in specialized talent that we need and that we are able to benefit our workforce from that.
Mm-hmm. Instead, what we've got is they're importing people to do the jobs cheaper, and making our American citizens teach them how to do said job before they're let go. And that, to me, is an extreme abuse of the system.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be liberal. I used to be Democrat. I don't know what I am right now. And you know, there are people in my family who are still liberals. They're still Democrats, and we're having this discussion. It's like, you know, the illegal immigrants, they're undocumented. It's like, look, if you get a visa to come into this country, you are legal. When that documentation expires and you are still in the country, you are no longer legal. You are illegal.
And undocumented is illegal.
Yes, illegal. You know, but it's like, oh well, we'll put a nice name on it, and maybe no one will notice.
I mean, what harm are they really doing? They're paying their taxes. They're working their jobs.
No, they're not. A lot of them.
Most of them are.
Trust me, most of them aren't, because a lot of them are working under the table for cash,
and for less, and for a lower than market wage.
Yes, they're basically.
Then that means the big companies should want them to stay if they're not working for that much money.
That's
they do want them to stay, but the people who live here, who do pay taxes, who do follow the rules, are then at a disadvantage.
But that's just a skill issue on your end. Bring down the fucking government. We don't need to pay taxes. Fuck that shit.
Oh,
like I said before, let's revert to trial.
Hold on.
See, here's the thing. See, here's the thing. Yeah. See, here's the thing. That there is a lot of talk about the fact that, well, they do pay taxes. Well, but under whose Social Security number? And how did they acquire said information? And who gave them the enablement to do that? Okay. You know, I remember from when I was a child, I was a teenager when I got my first job. And I went through this whole process of getting a Social Security number to, a Social Security card. I already had a number, but a Social Security card so that I could apply to a temporary job as a teenager, because there were these things, Max, called laws against hiring children. Okay. And so you had to have your own information, and you had to keep it private. You had to keep it secret, because the government wanted you to be responsible for the things that you did. And they would come after you if you weren't a responsible individual. But apparently, nowadays, the word responsibility and accountability have become this sort of suggestion. They're not words with a clear definition. They're just suggestions.
Yeah, why the fuck would you do something you don't have to do?
Yeah, we're
My issue-
suggesting that you be responsible and accountability. Well,
If you're
it wasn't
if you're
your
an
fault.
immigrant here, you are a
It
guest. If you are a guest, be a good guest.
Yeah,
Well,
my issue
the problem
with the
here is-
illegal, my issue with the illegals working under the table is
Look,
is mostly the fact that so many of them are being used as de facto slave labor. And
What about actual citizens working under the table? Would they not be paying their taxes? Because like the immigrants.
Well, see, here's the thing. We only hear in the media, Salad, about those that are using other people's as social security numbers. We do not hear of the myriad of numbers, and it is not an insignificant number, okay, that are using someone else's social security number, and the employers are permitting it to happen, even with folks that we know are deceased. You heard me right. Deceased. And yet the employers.
No, I don't think I heard you, man. Say it again.
Yeah, no, they're deceased. They're dead. They're
Mind
pushing.
saying that again? I
daisies.
couldn't hear you.
They're dead. They're pushing up daisies.
Trolling
They're
you,
6 feet
son.
under.
It's
Okay.
called
And the employers are totally cool with registering this. Why? Because it's on the honor system. Because the Department of Labor and the
honor
IRS,
system? Bitch, I ain't no samurai. I have no honor code.
No, because
I would slime a bitch for a
the
ham and
IRS
cheese sandwich.
Hold on,
because
Marcello, Zach, hold on a second. You remember when Doge went in and they found that so many people were getting Social Security payments that had been dead for anywhere between 10 to 50 years?
Yeah.
That's where that came from, was the fact that dead people's Social Security numbers were being used to put money into the till. So they were sending Social Security money to those numbers.
Right.
And that was billions of dollars that went bye-bye that nobody knows where it went to.
And some of these weren't even people who were employed. They were just receiving benefits.
Yeah.
They were just pulling benefits. And here's the
This is
thing.
why I think we should just revert to what the real Americans did and go back to being tribes. Tribe Riri will murk every other tribe.
Zach, are you in
you're
the
not
UK?
invited to Tribe Riri.
Here's the problem. The rest of the world wants you.
Are you in the UK?
Yes.
Okay, well, you can say goodbye to your nuclear weapons, because if we revert to tribes, the United States leases these SLBMs that go into your Vanguard submarines. We lease them to you for $12 million a year. Now, you have the warheads.
If tribes needed nuclear weapons or firearms, I'm talking about like full-on world reset. Go back, like do some unspeakable war shit that like makes us like revert time shit, like to the point where we just fuck everything over and have to start again.
Okay, so basically you want to nuke the entire world. Excellent.
Yes, everyone.
Okay.
Factory reset. We fucked up. We must try again. And
There's
go
a
back
part of me that
to
likes
tribes.
that idea, because there are days whenever I have got to a point to where I want to just burn it all down because it's gotten so bad.
Revert back to tribes. We don't need government. Government is cringe.
You know what? I will quote you a line from Demolition Man, which is a movie which has aged like wine. Wesley Snipes saying, "You know what? You can't outlaw people's right to be an asshole."
Exactly. And Demolition Man is one of those. It's like Idiocracy. You know, it predicted the future way too accurately. Another one that predicted the future way too accurately
The
was
Simpsons.
The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And The Simpsons.
Think about it. The whole influencer thing.
Yeah.
They got it. They got it. Right there, man. Dude
Gotcha.
running around wearing the dude wearing the leopard skin cat suit and the fucked up hair.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm sorry guys, but I do love my movies because They were good.
No,
I miss having good movies.
Well,
And
too bad, because we reverting back to tribes and
I'll tell you-
no movies in tribe times.
okay, Geronimo. But Richard, I will tell you about this movie called PCU. Have you ever heard of it?
Simpler times.
PCU?
Yeah.
Is that a documentary?
No. Here, this is a funny thing. It was around the same time as Demolition Man. It had David Spade and Jeremy Piven, and it was meant to be a latter day late 90s Animal House, and it wasn't. But what it was it predicted
1994?
yeah, about it predicted the entire it was PCU. It's a Port Chester University in Connecticut, which is like a school that I went to, but it predicted the entire politically correct movement and the total liberalization of campuses. It's a comedy. Oh, and it also has George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic at the end.
Parliament
Hold
Funkadelic?
on, what the fuck? I just got a notification saying I'm being tracked. Not anymore, bitch.
What?
It's the UK. Their freedom laws have gone to hell.
That's why we need to go back to tribes. Simpler times.
Yeah, where anyone can just bash anyone's head in with no consequences whatsoever.
Exactly. It would be up to the tribe. Be like, oh, he looked at you funny? Valid point. Go on with your day. Matter of fact, do it again.
I think I'll go out and buy another gun. Just in case.
That's a coward's weapon. It doesn't take nearly as much skill to shoot a gun as it does with a bow.
Okay.
With a bow, you actually need something called strength.
Okay. A bow and arrow is a coward's weapon of someone who can't use a flint. A flint is a coward's weapon who cannot use their fists. Okay? Don't try to outlogic me, my young friend.
I can throw hands. I beat black belts.
No, don't try it. I'll outlogic you till the cows come home. That's a logical fallacy.
I have training in multiple forms of martial arts, man.
No, I'm talking about logic. It's an argumentative problem. Okay? Not a physical force, not an implement problem. It's a logic problem. Okay?
Wait a minute, guys.
It doesn't matter what implement you're using to impose your will upon someone else. At the end of the day, anyone can make the logical fallacy of claiming that anything other than your own two hands is a coward's way out of imposing your will. It's ridiculous. It's a logical fallacy. Okay? The fact is that society progresses, technology progresses.
Right, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to listen, but that damn dog is being really distracted. Could someone
I understand that.
All right, give me a minute, guys.
Well, in the tribal times, you're going to have those acute hearing skills to survive.
Correct.
So just
Correct.
saying.
And you're going to have to be paying attention because at any given time, the thing that's hunting you isn't going to announce itself. But regardless of that, okay, the argument of that is a coward's way out is a logical fallacy. Anything beyond your hands is an advancement of humanity. Flints, bows and arrows,
a pencil,
blunt object, a blunt object.
I know a man who done a lot with a pencil.
It was
crazy.
I'll put it this way: in the UK,
a plain number 2 pencil. Goddamn.
In the UK, you guys have gotten rid of laws for firearms. Is that stopping the stabbings? The answer is no. Don't
It stops the school shootings because we only had one.
Nothing to do with. No, you're talking about volume.
Hold on,
okay?
Guys.
You're again applying a logical fallacy to the argument.
Guys, I need a moment.
Yes.
There's been a shooting in D.C. Multiple people, including National Guardsmen.
That doesn't happen here.
Street.
No, you just have Pakistanis grooming 12-year-olds into, well, you know what.
Zach, you're trying to use utopia fallacy that that because
Oh
someone
no, this
doesn't have
country
it
is a
perfect? they don't
shithole.
have
I'm
it?
not saying it's a utopia. It's not perfect. Nowhere is. Everywhere is a fucking shithole, and I think the world would be better off if there was actually no government. And matter of fact, I think the entire world would be better off if humans never existed.
Oh, great. An anti-natalist.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm an anti everything. I want everyone on this planet to fucking cease existing because how awful the human race is.
Oh, dear. The
Okay,
things that I want to
and-
say,
and
I'm
who-
not going to say for Richard's sake.
Where did you get that idea?
Literally
Don't say
everyone
that.
I've ever met.
Don't say you came of it of your own accord, because that's not possible. That is itself is a logical fallacy. Where did you get that idea?
Generally from people I've met.
Okay.
How I
Well-
see people act on like literally everywhere. It's just a thought that I have come to myself. Who knows? Maybe it is because of shit I've seen on the internet that say to me that way, or maybe it's just the way I was born due to some mental illness shit. We'll
No,
never know.
I think it's very interesting that you say shit that you see on the internet because, you know, I am Gen X. I was born in 1978.
I feel bad for you.
You know, I think you feel bad for everyone. So let me get my thought out for a second. You might learn something, or maybe I'll waste your fucking time. You know, my parents, they saw the speed of information reach maximum, the speed of light. You know, the 64 Tokyo Olympics were the first ones broadcast on satellite. Me, I saw everything, every institution, public, private, trading floors, McDonald's, rush to join the information age, that speed. Where we went from dial-up to ISP to fiber optic. You? What? How old are you?
I'm 18 and I can easily
And
see
so,
the speed of
basically-
light by turning on a
so-
flashlight.
Yeah. So your generation, the technology's there. It's as if it's always been there. You know, a piece of information goes around the world in milliseconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have your cell phones and you're stuck to them, and I am sounding like
But
a cranky old
Okay.
man. I'm
I got
making
my
No.
generalization.
Let's take it even further.
You
Can I
have
give an update here?
Generations before, there was the printed word. Before Gutenberg, printed books.
We're
People-
handwritten.
People told each other things.
Yeah.
People expressed ideas through verbal communication.
Oh yeah, believe it or not,
my
my
point-
generation knows what a
hang on.
library is.
Hang on. They presumed that they were being told the truth. Why? Because there was no other way to convey information.
Yeah.
There was
My
no
point-
other way to get it.
All right, guys, hold on.
my-
Can I give this information right
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
All right. Three people have been taken to the hospital, two of which were National Guardsmen that were attacked. Let's see, just before 3 p.m. Each has been taken to a different hospital. DC and emergency medical fire and emergency medical service is that one of the victims is in very critical condition, but would not specify which victim it was. It took place a couple blocks from the White House, but both the president and vice president were not in DC at the time. Trump's down at Mar-a-Lago while Vance is at Fort Campbell, which is an army base that's on the border between Tennessee and Kentucky. Whoever did this, says the person, well, the statement is the animal that shot the two National Guardsmen, with both being critically wounded and now in two separate hospitals, is also seriously wounded, but regardless will pay a very steep price. God bless our National Guard and all of our military and law enforcement. These are truly great people. I, as President of the United States, and everyone associated with the office of the presidency, am with you, he said on a Truth Social post. There are two women that witnessed it, said that they did not hear the gunshots, but they knew something unusual was happening when they saw National Guardsmen running. The their statement is, we saw the National Guard specifically running towards this way, and that's why we were kind of shocked, because I've never seen National Guard running unless it's something serious, said Nyla McGee, who lives in D.C. Especially, we saw undercover cars coming in and a helicopter at one point. That's how I knew it was getting serious. She
Is
said,
Tony okay? Doesn't he live in DC?
Who?
Tony.
No,
No.
Tony is in
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Oh, I thought he was in DC.
Oh no, we do have some members of the our extended family that is in DC. Your second or third cousins are in DC. They live actually in Falls Church. Actually got to spend a Thanksgiving with them one year. But yeah, this is not good. I'm just hoping this does not trigger a bubble effect.
Yeah.
But right now they've
Well,
closed
I mean,
everything down
let's
in the
be-
area.
Let's be frank, Richard. You know, it was the next logical step after what happened in September.
Yeah, well, they've locked
With all due
down
respect, okay?
Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport as of 3:20 is locked down because
I
of
mean,
security clearance. Nothing's taking off or landing right now.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That whole 25 mile circular area is probably locked down tight.
Yeah.
Number one, it's probably, other than the UK, one of the most CCTV laden areas on the planet. Okay, to be quite frank, anybody is probably pulling footage about what went down over there before the night is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the point, the one last sentence I wanted to say with my point is that information nowadays, it moves faster than ever, and it leads to an alarming sense of immediacy and a much shorter attention span. And everything is happening all at once now.
Yeah, and then people get accustomed to that, Max.
Yeah,
people get accustomed.
I know. I multitask, and I keep news sources running all the time so I can have the information coming in, because I need that information. And it's one of the reasons why I had somebody, whenever I found out Zachary had autism third and fourth hand, because Laura Jane called me up and says, "Did you know that Zachary has autism?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, Emma just posted on Facebook that Zachary has autism, and I was like, nobody told me nothing, because every time I would contact her saying, "Hey, can I talk to the boys?" and she would always send back a message of, "I will let you know when you can talk to them." And it was so frustrating. But autism being can be a hereditary thing. One of my friends said that they had noticed I had some of the qualities of somebody with autism. And I'm like, but autists usually focus on one subject. While I'm a generalist, I just love learning about a little bit of everything. Anything that gets my interest, I go and I look into it, and I dive into it and just try to learn as much as I can about it. And they started giggling and said, "That's your one subject." And I'm like, "What? You just like to learn. That's where your tism is focused on, is just learning." And it still freaks me out. But with all the information that we can get nowadays, I'm spending most of my time with various news channels in the background so I can have that information rolling in. It's one of the reasons why I like having, I've got several friends that are in the intelligence community that sends me little bits of news every now and again. it allows me to have the information flowing. And that's the one good thing I like about the way things are now. But I also am upset about it because I have to make sure I'm getting actual news and not just lies that somebody's saying is the
Yeah.
truth. So that's why I always try to make sure I'm getting 3 or 4 different news sources to
Amen.
check on stuff.
Yep.
And by doing it any other way, it's like Winston Churchill said, the lie can be already on the other side of the planet before the truth even has it put their underwear on.
Bingo.
So I always focus on that, and I'm always worried, am I actually going with actual news, or is this just something that's being thrown out there? And watching the news coming in about the shooting investigation going on near the White House, and like we talked about earlier in today's chat about an hour and a half ago about the Bubba effect and how much that scares the bejesus out of me and the majority of people who've served in the military. Because when the Bubba effect takes place, that's when people have had enough and they start taking justice into their own hands, and you don't want that. You really don't. That is how a lot of really, 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 really disgustingly bad things happen. It's why I mentioned Falling Down, the Michael Douglas movie.
Bro
yeah.
wouldn't support Batman. This is crazy.
Because if y'all haven't seen it,
I saw it in theaters.
it's a good movie that basically shows an everyday guy who gets pushed just too far, and he finally has enough and he snaps. One of the most famous parts of that thing is wanting an Egg McMuffin.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Oh,
Egg
we're not
McMuffins are gross. Why the fuck would you want that?
Hey, I actually love Egg McMuffins. Not as much as I love
Ew.
country ham.
Oh, Egg McMuffins are good. Why would you want that? Why would I want to hear you? Why would I want to hear someone say Egg McMuffins are gross? You don't go to McDonald's and order an Egg McMuffin because you're looking for the Gordon Ramsay experience. You go knowing that you're going to get an Egg McMuffin.
Yeah, but he's like,
My bad
"There's
for voicing
3 of
my
them
opinion. I
right
thought y'all
there."
were all for free speech.
But he's going, "There's 3 of them right there. We can't sell them to you because it's 2 minutes after the time limit." And he just completely loses it and pulls out the gun. Give me the damn Egg McMuffin. That's the Bubba effect. Whenever you have something that is just so far, it goes back to the straw that broke the camel's back moment. And that's what the Bubba effect is. Special Operations
Gotcha.
Command is terrified of the Bubba effect taking place, especially here and now. With the way that our society has gotten, both here in the States, in the UK, in Canada, in Europe, they are terrified of a Bubba effect taking place. Problem is, you've got so
especially
many
in the
political
US.
people that are pushing this stuff that we're into that position.
Yeah. Well, they've pushed.
Marcello, are you sure that both of the National Guardsmen have passed?
What?
Marcello posted in the chat that both National Guardsmen
according to what's being reported, online, credible sources, yes, both now National Guard members, be they male or female, have lost their lives.
Oh no,
that does tend to happen when you get shot.
Yeah,
but
the third person. Okay, there's only 3 people who got shot, which was the 2 guardsmen that got shot and the person who shot them. So those are
the question will arise. The question will arise is this person, because this was literally blocks from the White House, what intent did this other person have, and what background does this person have that led them to be the place where they were, where these other two humans came into contact with him or with her. We don't know. We have no other idea. They have not stated who these folks were. There's lots of pictures, there's lots of video, but the identity of these persons have not been divulged as yet. Okay, we'll probably find out. I'm not going to speculate. However,
Governor Patrick Morrisey confirmed their deaths in a social media post.
there you go.
It's on AP.
But my concern, because AP is such a bastion of accurate reporting, but be that as it may, the point is that, now what I'm saying is a suspect is in custody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll probably find out more. Well, of course, this is going to be a shock and forever mar the holiday of these persons' families.
Yeah.
And I having lived through a loss during a holiday season, as I have,
Same.
My thoughts and prayers go out to this person, these people, regardless of however they feel about the universe and its existence. This is not something anyone should ever have to sustain during this time of the year, where we're looking forward to what is to come. And I ask everybody to please consider, what sort of decisions really do we carry that we cannot step back from the precipice? If we're carrying around decisions that we cannot undo, that we cannot unravel, look for help.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
There's always others that can help us, that can make us feel not alone. Okay, regardless of whatever those thoughts are leading us to think, you really, there's 8 billion of us, people. We don't have to always agree on everything, but there's always some other way to take a step forward. Okay, there's always another way to meet tomorrow that doesn't involve eliminating some of us.
Yeah.
I want to stress that there's always some other way. Okay.
I'm thinking of I hate to I'm not making light, but there's a movie quote from Wall Street. It's the last interaction between Hal Holbrook and Charlie Sheen right before Charlie Sheen gets arrested. And he's like, Bud, I like you. Man looks in the abyss. There's nothing staring back at him. At that moment, man finds character. And that is what keeps him out of the abyss.
I guarantee you, there's always something looking back, and it's probably another form of you asking you, what the actual F are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I have a policy. If you're that far gone, don't delete others. Just delete yourself. That's common courtesy.
I wouldn't even go.
No,
I'm not. I'm just saying if that's just rude. To take other people with you.
At least get rid of someone that deserves to be gotten rid of.
No. We never, ever want to motivate anybody towards a negative reaction in that form.
Okay, so if you're in a room with you a
No,
sex
no.
offender and the H man, and you were given a gun and you were forced to shoot one bullet, you would shoot yourself?
Again,
No,
you're
that's
putting now. Okay, now the logical fallacy you're putting in there is a false dichotomy.
yeah.
Okay,
I said if
I would
you were ever at that point where you were going to destroy yourself, you know, my philosophy has been, you know what? Don't take other people with you. Just go.
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
and even
I'm saying that self-delete, and I'm saying that I feel that self-deletion is bad because I am a terminally positive person. Okay.
You know, as somebody who routinely thinks about it,
Yeah.
is one of those things that I don't. I understand if you're in a position to where you're going to spend the rest, you're in excruciating pain, your quality of life is non-existent. I get it. Trust me, I live it.
My bad. I thought you guys were just talking about like if you were like Dexter Morgan and just had the urge to kill, not just
Yeah.
No.
just wanting to destroy yourself. My bad.
Okay.
The hearing
No.
is not that good.
We're going a lot of back and forth here.
Yeah, no. So
But anyway, I want this to.
I don't want
a
anybody
prayer.
listening to this. Richard, give me a minute. I don't
All right.
want anybody listening to this taking any of this as advice
Absolutely.
other than take a deep breath and talk to somebody, regardless of what you have to say whatever you're thinking, let some other human hear it for whatever it is. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. Just let someone else listen.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
always someone who just will listen.
Yeah.
I
There's
wanna be
things that
perfectly clear about that.
there's sometimes you can't, sometimes it's better not to speak, but just let me finish on this one. Sometimes it's better not to say something because you can't unsay something that's been said, but if you have to, it's better to get a thought out, because if you do something terrible, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
So
Words aren't actions. That's the thing that gets me.
you know, write a letter and don't send it, something like
Yeah.
that.
But one thing I would like us to do.
Now, writing the letter and burning it actually has a better can't remember the word, like results. That's the word.
Yep, that's one of the things that they
Not just
recommend.
not sending it. You got to burn it to have like proper results.
But the two West Virginia National Guardsmen that passed, please, everybody, keep them in your thoughts and your prayers. Keep especially their family members
and their families. Their holidays are never going to be the same ever.
Yeah.
Parents, children, partners, spouses, however you want to call them, their holidays will never be the same. They might move on, but they're not going to be as they would have had tomorrow for the actions of someone who, I'm just going to say it, selfishly acted out whatever their feelings were leading them to act out with, which is one of the reasons why feelings should not necessarily always guide us. Yeah, it's nice to have a gut feeling, okay, but think twice before it could possibly lead to someone else who you don't know not having someone they care about.
Oh, what tears me up about this, it goes back to the whole sedation of six, and oh God, we've had the politician class that's trying to divide this country, trying to act like the military following legal orders, which has repeatedly been taken to courts to see if they were legal orders or illegal orders, and this is proved that they were legal orders multiple times. We have had, God, I mean,
Yeah.
I get so frustrated about it. It's like with the ICE doing their jobs, rounding up people who are in this country illegally. A great deal, many of them who have been breaking more laws than just coming in here illegally. We've had them catch human traffickers bringing little kids in for,
Yes.
you know what?
It,
And yet you have these people constantly referring to these guys doing a job that has made them see some of the worst possible things on earth and having to internalize it and take it home with them. And then calling that these men and women Nazis and Gestapo agents because they have seen the dark, evil stuff that the people that they're arresting have done. All these names and trying to get them killed. That's why I keep bringing up the Bubba effect, because everyday people are seeing this now and they're getting frustrated. I'm super frustrated about it because I've been watching this happen for over 40 years now.
Yeah. And it's like we used to think that there was like some grand conspiracy theory that there used to be some grand conspiracy theory that someone was like framing up people do these certain events, but nowadays we have the division of politics just pushing people. There's so much pressure. It just creates it.
Yeah, this is ridiculous to some of us who, when we were in grade school, were told to get under our desks in fear of a nuclear attack. I mean, no offense, but we're looking at some of you guys and saying, "What the hell is wrong with the rest of you?"
Well, back then, I still remember those the teacher saying, if you get under the desk, it will protect you from the nuclear bomb.
Right.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
I looked at the teacher and said, if these desks will protect us from a nuclear bomb, why don't we take our desk and put them on the roof?
Yeah.
To protect the whole school.
That is the second dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And
well, it was a different time.
Yeah. And telling it
I could
kids,
see how it could possibly protect your head from like rubble, but it wouldn't protect you from the radiation.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
And that's boy.
Well, let's take. I mean, the whole survivability of a nuclear war. It like Eisenhower realized it in his last. Every year he would go to the emergency shelter and have an operational exercise. And the very last year, because it was okay, we're going to have eight government departments, and this guy's going to run this, and this guy's going to run that, and this is how we're going to reclaim the country. And what happened the last year that he was out? Francis Gary Powers got shot down in a U-2 plane over the Soviet Union. And here's an actual emergency. And here they are in the emergency bunker, and they couldn't figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, Eisenhower knew that there was nothing really that they could do. And that is part of what inspired him to make. That is not what inspired him, but what put the cherry on top of his speech about the military-industrial complex.
Yep. And I look at, okay, when I was a kid, there was so many, we still had duck and cover commercials. If you've never seen duck and cover commercials, you can find them on YouTube.
Bert the Turtle.
Yep. cartoons that were shown for kids.
I saw commercials of a blue guy in like some sort of wizard robes threatening to steal Christmas.
And they made fun of it in South Park about the lava flow.
That's right. Duck and cover.
So, and our Generation X, we're the way we are because of the stuff that we had to go through growing up. We were originally called latchkey kids because both parents worked. You went home. You were told to get when you got home, and there was nobody there except for you. That you were supposed to go into your house, and you were supposed to lock the door and not let anybody in until your parents came home. During the summer, though, when your parents was getting ready to go to work, they woke your butt up, threw you outside, and said, "Be back here whenever
be back
by
before
the
the
time I
light.
get home,
Be back
or I'm
before the
beating
street
your
lights
butt."
are on.
You know, if you're not here when I get home, you're in trouble. And I mean, I've talked about this before. We'd be on the other side of the flipping mountain, and we would stop and go, "Uh-oh, I think Mom's home." And then all of us would look at each other. Well, if your mom's home, that means my mom's about to get home too. And then we'd take off running, trying to get back home before Mom or Dad was standing at the top of the stairs, looking around, clearing their throat, saying, "An ass whooping's about to happen if you ain't here." You know, but that was how it was for our generation. It's one of the reasons why we were so independent. And I think it's also one of the reasons why so many of us ended up overcompensating and becoming helicopter parents for our kids, is the fact that we remembered what that was like.
Yep.
And we didn't like it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but those who couldn't reconcile that it was okay became the helicopter parents. Because I didn't. I didn't become a helicopter parent. Okay.
I still remember when Zachary was born, and I was holding him in my left hand, and he was this itty tiny little baby that literally filled my hand. He was so tiny, and when he opened his eyes and looked at me, and I promised him I was going to be the type of daddy he deserved, the type of daddy I wanted to be. I wanted when I was a kid, and I failed him. And I can never.
Don't think you're special for that. The entire human race failed me.
But I know what it's like to be a parent that wanted to fix what went wrong with my childhood. I wanted to be there for my son. I wanted to be there for my kids, but to let them know I love them. That's why I was always telling them I love them. I was giving them hugs and kisses. I was doing stuff with them and for them, because my dad was that generation that was so stoic when it came to interacting with his son. It wasn't even funny, because I watched him with my sisters. He was open, loving, hugged them, kissed them, told them he loved them. When my sister got involved in choir and extracurricular activities at school, he actually went to them. I mean, I got an award, and he didn't show up for it. Heck, my mom didn't show up for it. When I graduated from high school, my grandmothers, both of my grandparents, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my mom's mom, Ma Smith, she actually drove across South Carolina to come for my high school graduation. We were on our way to high school graduation, and the car broke down. Instead of coming, somebody else picked us up to take us in to go to the graduation. Instead of Dad coming and participating in my graduation, he stayed with the car. Didn't want to come to my graduation. He just wanted to stay with the car. And that's why if you see the pictures of my graduation, I look like I was numb. Was because everybody else in the family showed up, but my dad didn't. And I swore I was not going to do that to my kids. That's why I woke up early, and I would make Jack and Zachary warm tea and milk. And I was the one that changed their nappies first thing in the morning and started getting them ready for their day while their mom was having her hot cup of tea to wake up. And then whenever I came home,
Why did you say hot cup of tea like it's not meant to be hot?
because I'm a Southern American, and we also enjoy sweet iced tea.
Yeah.
There's
There
there's
should
two
be a
types.
problem with that.
There's two types of tea. So there's
Yeah,
sweet
I was
iced tea
originally going to
and
let
hot
the world
tea.
destroy itself, but I might just do it next week or something.
Though I will warn you, whenever you have sweet iced tea, make sure you have insulin standing by, especially if it's
Or a good
proper
supply,
Southern.
or-
iced-
or a good supply of lemon,
yes,
at the
lemon is
ready.
also
Okay.
is necessary.
because, well, I mean, some of us are not addicted to the sweet part of it as much as others. But the fact is that I don't know what the hell you guys are thinking about with this lightly herbal tea. Okay,
I like my black
we're
tea,
not
man.
living in caves anymore. We came out into the sunshine. Enjoy a little bit of flavor, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but
No,
like
it's
I
just
said,
your American brands are shit at making tea bags.
Well,
I
the
agree.
fact
I agree
the
with
fact
that.
You
Yeah.
guys started to tax us for this stuff might have prompted a little
Yeah,
bit
because
of
we
a
made it good.
reaction.
You'll be
Yeah, well,
paying
there was a
for
time when our flag would have said
product.
wholly owned subsidiary of the Crown of England, but not anymore.
Yeah.
God
Oh,
forbid
yeah,
we want money
theory.
for pot.
Now, if
Yeah.
you really want to talk to
quality
somebody
products.
about tea that knows tea better than the British,
Chinese
talk to
and
Chinese.
Indians, those people.
True.
I will only ever trust actual tea knowledge from either another British person or someone from China or India. Those are the only three types of people that you can actually respect the opinions of tea.
Have you tried matcha?
Not yet, but I really want
Yeah,
to
I would.
because
I
I've
would,
heard nothing but good things.
I would maybe broaden your horizons just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Just saying.
But I mean, when it comes to tea, that's my that was the thing. And then whenever I'd get home from school, I'd scoop the boys up, ask Emma if she needed a nap. That if I'd ask if the boys were good, and ask if they had her running around, and she needed a nap. And if she didn't need a nap, we would then go to the park. Or if it was raining, we would go to the airport so Jack could watch the planes take off and land. And hold on, guys. I'm going to let you guys have control for a few minutes. I need to take the phone.
Okay. So here's the thing. All right. Right now, we've got a lot of people who are, for whatever reason, angry at each other. And what we've encountered here, and I guess part of what Richard and I were talking about earlier before the two of you joined us, is that the media and politicians aren't really helping. They aren't really helping. The media and politicians aren't really helping. Okay, you've got politicians telling active military to ignore a lawful order from their commander in chief. Number one, you've got media who are propagating the message of these other politicians to
Mhm.
ignore lawful orders from their commander in chief.
See, one of the
Okay.
things about the United States military, especially post World War II, um, we did not allow the Germans at Nuremberg to use the defense. I was just following orders. So the United States military put forth that if you follow unlawful orders, you get punished for it. And there are ways of questioning orders that you find to be unlawful. If somebody's giving you an order and you think it's unlawful, there are ways to deal with it.
Correct. But here's the thing, Richard. Those politicians, when the question is put to them,
Yeah, they just can't say,
cannot
"Oh,
they cannot state unequivocally which law is unlawful.
yep."
Senator Mark Kelly, Representative Slotkin, they cannot state unequivocally what order coming from the executive branch is contrary to the Constitution of the United States of America.
Yep.
Is
Look at.
the state-
Do you know who Terrence Popp is from Redonkulous?
Yeah.
Okay, he was talking about this. That talking about the sedation of six this past week.
Bullshit on you.
And he was upset, and he was actually talking about how he is happy that the former astronaut Mark Kelly, okay, he's a retired United States Navy captain,
right,
which is the equivalent of an Army colonel.
Mm-hmm.
But is the other guy okay? They just vanished.
I think he had to pull because he only had a short period of time with us.
Yeah.
But he
about
there's actual talk about the fact that because he is a retired officer, he could get recalled back into the service so they can court martial him.
Absolutely. With all due respect, I'm totally comfortable with that.
Me too.
Okay. If he cannot state unequivocally what part of the constitutional right endowed onto the executive branch is being broached by the current administration, with all due respect, he is by the act of fomenting others to disobey that command by the executive branch, treason.
Well,
I mean, if this were the time of Andrew Jackson, I mean, with all due respect, what were the things that Andrew Jackson said when the South Carolina tried to secede from the session, Richard?
Yeah, he did not like that.
He did not. Well, not only did he not like that, he came out and I'll quote him. I'll hang the first one of them that I can find from the first. I mean, I'll hang the first one that I can get from the first tree that I can find. I don't support that behavior. I do not believe that is the proper way for a chief executive of the country to behave. Okay. But the fact is, what Senator Kelly is promoting is treason.
Insubordination bordering on insurrection leading to treason.
By any legal definition, you'd have to jump through several hundred poodles through fiery hoops to come up with an excuse for that. You wouldn't have a big enough Barnum and Bailey's ring top.
Hold on, guys. Wait a second. Okay. Siggy just posted, even Andrew Jackson would be calling for the button to be pushed just to spite everyone. The son of Mars would be endorsing that message from Andrew Jackson. Hold on.
Look, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not going to sit here and say that the containment field should be lowered. Okay,
Bad signals.
but you know, if the entity inside the containment field wanted to make a run for it, I might turn a blind eye.
Well,
That's all I'm gonna say.
let me say this because I lost my internet and now I'm back. You know, my biggest fear of our current president before he was first elected was this guy with nuclear weapons. But then I remember there was a panel discussion with members of the Air Force and Space Force, and they said, we will not follow illegal orders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, oh, you forget that there are people who have trained on all the people who have trained on all the experience and all the experience and all even the mistakes that have happened ever since the late 40s. And you know, and there is professionalism built into the system. And what really galled me was around the time of J6, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, was having conversations with Nancy Pelosi about the National Command Authority and continuity of government. Like stuff that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who's only supposed to be advising the president, should only be talking about in God forbidden situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, Siggy was sitting there. He made this thing that they said that about Reagan, and I responded, "Yes, what's happening with Trump is not new. This has been happening since Nixon."
Yeah.
You know,
when Kissinger said, you know,
they've been calling the Republicans Nazis and fascists since Nixon.
Yeah, and also towards the end of Watergate, you know, Nixon was always joking, "Hey, I could pick up the phone and destroy the world." And then Kissinger, I forget who he talked to. I think he talked to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of, if he orders nuclear weapons, you had better check with me just to be sure.
Yep.
Can we talk about something that's actually fun, like the streams are like supposed to be?
Well, Kissinger was that dude. I think he was a fun dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you know who was a fun dude? Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan.
Okay.
Was cool.
Well, see, here's the thing. Reagan was technically an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
He was the. I'm just to say this. He was the Trump of the '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem here was that his first administration was pretty decent. His second administration is where he let loose on the reins and people got off the rails on the crazy train.
Yeah.
If he had been 5-10 years younger, we would not have had the 90s the way that we had them. People like Bill Clinton would not have happened. We wouldn't have had George H.W. Bush. We would have had somebody else. I'm not going to say we did Dan Quayle, but we wouldn't have had these other people. The 90s would have been a different decade. Okay?
Yeah.
The 90s would have been a different decade. All right? Because
if it wasn't for Reagan, the Soviet Union would still be there. Because Reagan actually...
Well, I'll go you further.
I just watched a documentary this morning on Patton and the fact that everything Patton predicted before he was assassinated came to be.
Yeah.
And the only person who listened to what Patton had to say when he became president and put it into play was Reagan, because Reagan knew the only way to deal with the Soviet Union, it was with a direct confrontation.
Yeah.
Force them to abide by the rules.
Yeah. And then, you watch the movie, and it's like, we are after we take out the Germans, we'll be fighting the Russians next. And he was absolutely right.
Yeah, and he and the messed up thing was Eisenhower. Everybody did not realize it until 47 that he was right.
Yeah,
and with all the information that we were able to get after the Iron Curtain fell, and we got access to all of the archives. One of the things that Patton had said was that the majority of the Soviet Red Army is sick. You know, that they're dealing with an influenza epidemic that's going through there. They're a paper tiger.
I'm back after being gone for a couple minutes. Are we still talking about dumb shit?
Nope, we're talking about warfare.
Okay, so that would have been a yes.
And the fact that Patton was his people were bringing in information about the atrocities that the Soviets were doing, and he kept sending it back to Eisenhower and Washington, and trying to get the news media to show that all of the FDR propaganda trying to present Joseph Stalin as good old kindly Uncle Joe was bullshit. The only other person that was actually paying any attention was Winston Churchill. Hey, Marcello, could you do me a favor and post Tony's Rumble link to his karaoke? That way people...
Yeah, we'll do that. Not a problem.
How do you feel knowing that there are like great grandchildren of Joseph Stalin that are legal American citizens?
I feel good about it because they, several of them, he was killing his own kids.
Yeah,
and
understandable. I hate children too. They drove me to the point I might just do it.
Well, Stalin, let's see, the first of his kids he killed was
Stalin. He was a funny guy. He was a funny guy.
His son was captured as a POW, and he ordered his own people to kill him, even though Hitler wasn't going to use him as anything for propaganda or any of that shit, because there were several high-ranking Nazi officials who had family members that were POWs being held by the Soviets. So they weren't going to kill Stalin's kid because that they were afraid of the repercussions of it, that their loved ones that were POWs would then be killed. But Stalin was like, I ain't going to chance it. Kill my kid. And that was the first one that they killed. I can't remember which son it was that they put him in charge of
the hockey team,
and he really messed it up. And they actually made a comedy drama movie,
Death of Stalin.
That was what people don't get is the Death of Stalin was pretty accurate depiction of what happened when Stalin died.
Yeah.
And it was just so wild. It's one of those things that truth is stranger than fiction. And you find out guys, go watch the movie. It's really good because you find out that the head of his Secret Service, the KGB at the time,
NKVD.
Yeah, this dude was pure, unadulterated evil.
Yeah, there's slapstick stuff in the movie, and the slapstick is for dramatic effect, but the basic facts are true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of Stalin's most true believers. I mean, this dude was such a true believer when Stalin said, "Your wife is an enemy of the state." He was like, "Okay, I accept that. Go ahead and kill her then." Well, Stalin's last purge, this dumb dude was on the list to be purged.
Except Stalin died first.
Yes. And, oh God, the amount of people that Stalin killed was massive.
Nowhere near the amount of my boy, whoever the guy who ruled the fucking Mongolian Empire was. I can't remember his name.
Well,
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Yes, that guy.
Genghis Khan, the numbers that he killed was, especially of the amount of the population we had back then. Yeah, that's one of the worst.
He will always be my historical goat. Well,
But-
second, my number one spot of history, guys, will always be Miyamoto Musashi because he's such a fucking badass. But Genghis Khan is in a solid second place.
But anyway, the
He
purge.
fucking revolutionized war. Goddamn.
I think the conservative, the numbers we got are the conservative estimate is what, 80 million.
What of the Stalin purges?
Yeah,
I'd say it's around
about 80.
Yeah.
It's rumored to be over 100.
yeah, because
Rumored to over be 100.
that wasn't even counting the Holdo-Mayor.
We don't know what the formal population inside the boundaries of the Soviet Union were at around that time. We don't know.
Even when they opened up the archives, that the information wasn't there because there was people that got purged before they started keeping records of it. Because when he consolidated his power after Lenin died, the whole shadow civil war between Stalin and Trotsky, there was a lot of people that just disappeared that nobody knows what happened to them. There's a documentary that talked about what it was like under Stalin, and they built apartment blocks that had two doors. You had your standard front door, and then you had a door in the back of the apartment that didn't have a doorknob on your side, because at night the door would open up, they would come in and get your butt and take you out. It was wild. And yes, Mao's incompetence and ignorance is one of the things that caused even more deaths than Stalin. The magnitude of the people that died under Mao is, oh my God, numbers.
Yeah.
But do you want to know what got even more kills than all of those things combined? Of a deadly disease known as cooties. Deadliest shit ever.
One of these days, I might end up playing a heavy metal song called "I Can't Take Cootie Juices on My Dishes," because that is still one of my favorite songs. But anyway, we need to go ahead and wrap it up.
Yes, we do.
We've
if
got
nothing else, for my mental health.
Because we got 20 minutes before karaoke starts. Everybody that got
He doesn't know.
I want to thank you for this very special edition of just Let's Talk, where we're just shooting the shit, talking about controversial stuff. And thank you guys. I like having these type of conversations because I find them entertaining.
Yeah, it's not controversial so much as it's candid.
Yeah,
because a lot of times what folks call controversial are things that really some folks might find uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but necessary in the grand view of everything, taking into account what's going on.
Hey, Wavo, how did your haircut go, and how are you feeling?
I hope the barber messed up your trim.
And Siggy, damn it, Siggy. Bad Sig Vomerson. Bad Sig Vomerson. Behave.
Dude, seriously, do we have to bring out the pressure sprayer? Come on, man. For crying out loud, you hit me with unicorns enough already. For crying out loud, man. Take a powder.
Don't make me turn the camera on because
Fuck
the
them.
twins are wanting to tell you to kiss their butt. Yeah, we already broke out the spray bottle, Jeff. But yes, thank you guys for joining. We'll probably end up doing some more Let's Talk and True Talk type stuff where we just sit here and we talk about current events that just most people don't talk about that just interest me. I mean, I would love to sit and tell you guys my plan on how to fix what's wrong with our health industry. And it's simple and it's in the way of fixing it because we need more people in the industry to bring the prices down. And we need to do a reform for malpractice insurance laws because the malpractice insurance is what causes the prices to go so dang high. But it all boils down to we need more people doing medical stuff, and we don't have enough. And that's what's causing a lot of these issues that we have when it comes to medical costs. There's not enough doctors going to go around. There's not enough nurses.
And that'll be a discussion for another day.
Exactly.
Fortunately.
And but I love talking about these things because by talking about these things, you know, the ideas get out there, and the idea either gets shot down or it gets improved and refined and made better by getting more information and more people offering solutions. That's how we fix things, guys and gals and everybody in between. So yeah, we can do these things if we just stop hating each other and be the positive change we want to see in the world. Remember, we're all human. You know, we're not monsters. We all want what's best for ourselves and for our children and our children's children. And we need to get back to a point to where we can agree to disagree and try to work to make the world a better place together. And,
yes, by reverting back to tribes.
And
let's get out of here.
Yep.
Push the fucking button. Kill everyone. Just total factory reset this bitch.
Well, y'all be good. And thank you guys for coming by and joining in the chat. I hope
Bring back
everybody
the fucking dinosaurs. They were fucking awesome. Society really downgraded to these fucking hideous monkeys with no skin we got running around now.
Okay. I hope everybody gets to make it to the Starks karaoke party over on Rumble.
Absolutely.
Have fun and be blessed. And remember, you're not alone, and you are most
never alone.
Loved.
Yep. If you're feeling it, there's always somebody there that will just listen, let you get it out of your system. You don't have to think that right now is the end of the story.
Yep.
I guarantee you, it's not. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Be good, guys.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for hosting this, Richard.
You're welcome.
This went on a lot longer than I thought, and we'll have another talk soon.
Yep. Y'all be good, and I love you all. And remember, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I love each and every one of you, even you, Siggy, even you.
Peace out.